Yes, people, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, but more importantly, blue morning to you because, of course, it is the Blue Morning Show. Please, if you're in the chat, do let me know if you're hearing me. As usual, it is silly season. It is the transfer window. The transfer window is open, and we have quite a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll talk about Ousmane Dembele, Raheem Sterling, Raphinha, Nathan Ake, and every other player that's linked to Chelsea Football Club. So sit back and relax and let's get into the show. Yes, people, welcome back to Chelsea Perspective. Welcome back to another Chelsea Transfer Watch on a Chelsea Perspective on the Blue Morning Show. I hope you all are doing well. I sincerely do hope so. Again, not so much have changed, but then again, there is still so much to talk about. That's how simple, that's how it is. And it's a silly season in this transfer window, if that's how you prefer to say it. And we will get to all of them one by one. And hopefully soon I'll share the links with the panelists so that if they have the time, they will join me on the panel. But I'll start alone. And if nobody joins me, believe me, I'm able to go solo and it will still be fun. But I hope and I know that quite a lot of panelists will be ready to hop on so that we can talk about what we have to talk about. But the truth is, for today, there isn't so much new development. We'll freestyle the show. But if anything comes up, we will talk about it. You can be rest assured about that. So let me find out how the people in the chat they're all how they are doing because that's how we roll here on Chelsea Perspective. Phantom says that thought to hit the like button. How's like how Chelsea finished in EPL? Okay, good. You still made it to the Champions League though. He says Raphinha can go to Barcelona. We don't want him. What did you hear? What made you say that? Please do let us know. I sincerely do want to know why you're calling for him to go to Barcelona. Again, big up Kachila, new day, new stream, another day to talk about transfer windows and another day to talk about our beloved club, Chelsea Football Club. If you're in the chat, please let me know if you can hear me. I pray Chelsea get a last laugh over Barcelona. I still strongly believe we would. So thank you. So just keep praying. We definitely will. Good morning, Kachila. Nice to see you on another super show. Nice to see you too, Chibike Wollens and my brother, Nwanne Dalo. I appreciate you always being around to support your brother. That means a lot to me. And as you're coming in, please keep liking the video. And remember everything I've told, like I've said every day on this show, I'd rather you like the videos than donating to the channel. The likes do a lot more for the channel than donating your hard-earned cash to the channel. You're doing enough by watching the videos. You're doing enough by participating in the chat. You're doing enough by watching even without commenting and also telling other people about the Chelsea Perspective. I sincerely do appreciate that. And again, some good news from our own side also. The sister channel, the branding process is almost complete, and I'll be sharing some stuff with you guys soon. And my brother, the Claude, he says, big up, coach. I'm happy to wait for you to get your coffee. Sounds like you need it. Yeah, I do need it. I do need it, bro. It's 3:26 a.m. here. Blessed morning, Coachella. Trust you're doing well. I trust you're doing well too. And the Cloud, by the way, I hope you're doing well. And E, I do hope you're doing well too. And I sincerely do mean it. Julius Asamoah says, blessed Coachella. Yep, I am doing well. And Deals CFC, my brother, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well too. Quite a lot of stuff immediately. The chat looks like it's going to be on fire today. Send me the link. Again, you don't have to say it. You get it in a beat. Again, Kachila, Fabrizio mentioned Sagittarius for the first time, but he said nothing advanced yet. Okay, you must pay attention to that. The coolest chairs, big up coach and the chat. The coolest chairs, I hope you're doing well. I haven't seen you in a while. Please let me know that you're fine. Again, I do mean that. Why is Chelsea wasting a daytime with Raphinha? Good morning, watching you from Ghana. Nice to see you, my West African Ghanaian brother. I think we're not wasting time. Let me tell you this: the floodgate is open right now, and we, Chelsea, at Chelsea Perspective, we are at the gate, and we'll be watching. I said when the moment anything comes out, be rest assured this is one of the this will be one of the first places that you will hear it. Glad to hear when Nadalo, big up Dallin, when the Franco, but nice to see you here. Oba Owanine, thank you for saying that. I like it when I see people here in the chat that speak my language. That makes me happy. News on Jonathan Klaus, nothing yet. I was pissed yesterday when I heard that he probably will be moving to Olympic the Marseille. I want to see him here. He comes on the cheapest. Numbers this past season are sensational. They are awesome if you want, if you prefer. He had 11 assists and 5 goals. I think he's nearly you could say almost the same numbers as Reece James. So bringing him, I think he will, push Reece James to do even better, to perform to 150%. I don't know why, and he comes on the cheap around the around the £8 million. That's absolute steal for me, and I'm not sure why we're not going for him, except if the club, if they're doing something behind the scenes that we do not know about, maybe that's the difference. I'd like to see that happen, and I'm serious about it. He's a player that I like so much. You should watch him play. This is not just me watching YouTube clips. I've seen a few of his games. Play 90 minutes, where he played 90 minutes. He's a good player that I think we should be looking to get. Todd Boehly went to Barca to speak with Laporta to do a proper deal, not a stupid reason. Yeah, I think he's a smart man. Oscar Lee says, big up Kachila. Steve, everyone here today. It's your boy, Oscar Lee from Nigeria, NG, up the Chelsea. Up to see you here, my Niger brother, and thank you for kindly saying that. We won't get full information yet for the meeting, but by next week, we will have an idea. I think as things start to happen, we will get a clear understanding of what they might have talked about, a roundtable at Barca. So if you're here, please keep liking the video. We have 37 people watching, and we have 16 likes. We can do better than that. Thank you for that already. And if you're here, click through the avatar of the coolest chairs. Go check out his channel when you have time, and be sure to subscribe, and do let him know that I sent you. That will go a lot. I really appreciate that. So I'll be going into what we have to talk about today in a bit. Just give me a few seconds to catch up with all the stuff I have here. I'm seeing some updates. Again, some updates from Bobby, my brother and a friend, and I'll take a look at it in a bit. But I'll start here with Christian Pulisic. The news, what we're hearing about Christian Pulisic, that's how we've always thought it was going to be. We knew before time, even before Todd Boehly, and the Clearlake Consortium became the new owners of Chelsea Football Club. We knew before time that Christian Pulisic means that he is more than just a footballer for Chelsea Football Club. That he will take some bad stretch of poor performances for the club to decide, what? Yeah, he means more than business to more than footballer for us, but we must let him go at this point. He's not been bad. He's a good player. He's got it in him. He's a big time player. After all, if you look at his performances against Real Madrid, against Liverpool, against Arsenal, the only issue with Christian Pulisic is just that he's been quite unlucky in terms of injuries. Again, he's been in and out of the team, which you could argue reduces the development or dwarfs the development of his chemistry with his teammates. Yep, again, so he's a player we knew before time. It wasn't going to be easy for the club to let him go. And then that's even more difficult now. We have an American who's, you could say one of the majority shareholders of Chelsea Football Club, if you want to see it like that. Again, Starling Sergio Medical, yep. some logistics to take care of before that happens. And I think he'd be able to join the team in the US as soon as possible. No worries, brother. I think the next thing we're going to do it will be to redirect traffic from here to your channel. I think we should work together to grow together. And Bamfordinho, my brother, nice to see you here. Bamfordinho says, can't we hijack the Lewandowski deal? I think it is possible. Again, there are other things you have to also consider. Again, he's an intelligent player. I've come to terms. I think he was Rodrigo Rogers who I get that. So he's able to adjust to the way we play. But the truth remains we have to adjust something because of his inability to press. So that's important for you to pay attention to that aspect also. I am very surprised Pulisic is looking happy in training preseason because his dad was talking too much. Again, what his dad says doesn't change anything. Even Thomas Tuchel will be, you could say, how do I phrase it, so lighthearted for him to be moved by what the father of his player is saying. These things happens almost all the time. So I wouldn't worry what the father of my player is saying. I would concentrate in my job. And Thomas Tuchel, I know quite too well. I think he wouldn't worry about what Christian Pulisic dad is saying. Pulisic, like when he was interviewed when he was on international duty regarding his Chelsea career, he said he's looking forward to the future at Chelsea. That he just wants, more game time. And his argument then also is that the owners, he also did say something about the owners being good people. That to me means I think he's already made up his mind he was going to stay at the club beyond the past season. I don't think Pulisic will go. That is my opinion. I don't think he will go either for obvious reasons. The reasons we've talked about. Again, Chelsea shall have confidence in the Chelsea. Chelsea should have confidence in the academy players. I think they do, but you'd have to prove yourself in preseason. But that's by the way. I'm going to bring on Ty, who was one of the first people to join me on the panel. Ty, quickly give me your thoughts. What we're hearing that Chelsea will be reluctant to say Christian Pulisic. I know you. That's probably not new to you because we knew all this while that's something that's not that. Like I've always argued. He'd have a broken egg and a broken arm for the club to say, and then a stretch of poor performances for the club to say, you know what, we're done with this guy. That you can comment.
Yeah, with this is something that was possibly assumed and possibly expected that they would be reluctant to sell him due to, well, for one reason, for the US brand, as Vin says right there. I think in that sense,
I think rightly phrased is maybe US. What's the term that came to mind? Market, if you want. But go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. So that helps to grow it because the thing is, the only thing I'm not surprised about is that he hasn't gone to at what can we speak LA Dodgers game yet, to do that
Mm-hmm.
because obviously, with Todd Bowley, being a co-owner of LA Dodgers, that is something that can promote, football in that sense. So I think in that sense he's trying to, slowly try to grow the fan base as well. Try to
Mm-hmm.
grow it as well. So I think in that sense Pulisic could be useful in that regard because Pulisic is an American star, and he's one of the valuable players for the American football team as well. So I think in that sense that although he brought a lot of American fans with him when he joined Chelsea, there are still some that probably aren't aware of his situation at the club, and with this new ownership being American as well, it could also promote some of those LA Dodgers fans that aren't Chelsea fans, because you do have some LA Dodgers fans that are indeed Chelsea fans, but you do need to gain more. And I think, considering the fact that Todd Bowley is an economic man, this is something that he'd probably look at and say that Pulisic is an American. He does well for the team, international base, and and because of that, it could benefit the club even further. So I think in that sense, they are reluctant to sell him, but I do think that right now, I mean, it doesn't say that they don't want to sell him. It just says that they're reluctant to, and that is key to note. And the last sentence saying that if he continues to underperform, then maybe then they may consider it. But I mean, if a bid comes in for him, you can't tell me that the club will not consider it. I don't think so. So I think people need to pay attention to that. Reluctant to sell doesn't mean that it means that they're not open to sell.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if he stays, I have no problem with that because I think for other reasons as well. I think maybe another season, but he's this will be his fourth season at the club. So if he doesn't improve any further, then maybe then the club really should consider, um, ending.
Passionate.
Like the narrative you normally use on the analogy is end that marriage, and
Yeah.
so I think if it does work out for the 4 years, then you just end the marriage. I don't think there's really any counseling that can really help the situation then, because the counseling that you're doing right now is the only one you can hope right now, and sometimes the counseling doesn't help. So you just see what happens.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I understand what you're saying. Again, coming to you, Tobago, your thoughts on what we're looking at on the screen. I think we've always talked about it here, but since it's out there right now, we need really to talk about it. Your thoughts.
Okay, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Pulisic should go or might go because
Mm-hmm.
like if you're going to sell Pulisic, who will we replace him with? Because like to challenge for every title, we need a squad depth. So again, with five subs next season, Pulisic will get a lot of game time. And sometimes Sterling can play as the first nine. Pulisic will get his position as a left wing. But we'll wait and see until which formation are we going to play for next season. But in our current system, Pulisic will play maybe as a right wing, and also Sterling, if maybe Kai Havertz is not available, Sterling can play as a nine. So we need him. I don't want us to sell him because like who will we replacing him with? That's my question now.
Yeah, good question. And overall,
Sorry,
it's not.
could
It's
I
not
quickly
like.
say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did Sabaga just say that he can play as a nine? That Sterling can play as a nine,
False nine.
as a false nine.
False
Yeah.
If
nine,
him as a false nine, you're gonna be
yes.
wasting him. You're gonna be
No, but
wasting
I
him as a
don't think
false
that
nine.
happens. We'll see.
He,
We'll see. Let him come first.
no,
Let's see what happens. A lot of them have been coming for a long time. I want them to stop coming and come already. Yeah, but that's by the way, Rodrigo. You can come in for this topic, and thank you very much. Again, you guys should pardon my bad manners. I don't know if it is because it's 3 a.m. here. I hope you're all doing well. Please forgive me for not asking. So, Rodrigo, I'm going to come to you in a second. Let me just catch up with the chat. I don't want to be far too behind. And here's the new what I took my time to research the best way to approach it so we're not going back and forth between topic. The moment we switch a topic, I'm going to skip to the very bottom of the chart so that whatever I'm reading next will be aligned with the current topic. So again, so we don't fry people's brain as they try to catch up with whatever we're doing. Where's the sound coming from, please? Again, yeah, thank you very much. I say that Pulisic in money for delete should be looked at. Again, I know why people are talking about that. I think it was because of the comment that Chiellini made regarding Christian Pulisic. He said he's a good player. He would want to see him at Juve. But we'll see what happens. Bamfordine says Todd Bowley knows he could lose the fan base in America if he allows Pulisic to leave the club. Again, we've made that argument before, but we'll see. Again, we'll see what happens. Again, there are other ways he can, remedy that if ever it happens, but it's never gonna happen. It's not that simple. And more importantly, he's a good player after all. If he wasn't a good player, then you would say it's easy to happen. And he's shown that he can actually perform in big games, not just in small games. He's just been quite unlucky. He's been injured most of the times, in and out of the team. So with that, it will be, you could argue that, you could argue dwarfed his, his ability to develop a chemistry with his fellow players. And here, Button Lumbeka says, "Morning, Coachella. Happy Sunday, boss. Watching you live from Zambia. Big up, my African brother. Happy to see you here, and thank you very much for always supporting the channel. Yes, please, Pulisic should be given a last chance, even though last season his finishing was poor. You can't argue, yeah, when he started playing games, when he wasn't injured, there were some misses that, that had the fan base asking some questions. After weeks of officially first summer signing, indeed, yep, that makes me very happy. OBA, Nathaniel, nice to see you here. I hope you're doing well. Pulisic should be given a chance again in the 2022-2023 season. His performance was bad last season. Again, if you ask me, I say even in 3 years we will still be saying this same thing. There's no way we're selling Pulisic first season on the American. Yeah, that's another way to argue it, but we'll see what happens. Not true. I came with Pulisic. I will not leave for him. No, if you want to, that's up to you. But Phantom, by the way, how are you doing? I love you, brother. Again, I appreciate you always bringing us some comic relief during the show. You're right, bro. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I prefer Lewa coming to Chelsea. If Barca deal fails, please kindly confirm this, coach. I cannot confirm what I don't know. I am truly not at the table with them, but we'll try to, put two and two together and come to a sensible conclusion from whatever we see out there. Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal never had
I can answer that. I can answer that.
Player. Yeah, just 1 second. Still have a huge fan base in the US. Again, I get your argument. Go ahead, Ty.
The reason why they have that is because they also have an NBA player that has
one of their owners. Yeah.
Yeah, LeBron James is one of them. So obviously that is going to attract a lot of people as well. So it's not because they don't have they may not have a football player, but they do have an NBA player that is a part of it. So that is going to benefit them as well.
Yeah, good
argument. That's Liverpool,
of course. You could actually argue that LeBron James is actually an even bigger draw than Pulisic.
Yeah, because and probably that's what they call him, the LeBron James of football.
Yeah. So Rodrigo, coming to you, your thoughts. You want to talk about him, or you want us to move on? Where's that sound coming from, please? I'm sure it's not from my end. Okay, Rodrigo, you might want to go out and come back in. It looks like that issue is coming from your end, please, so we can sort it out. Declan, let me come to you, your thoughts, so we can move on from this topic quickly. And by the way, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well.
I'm great. Big up, everyone. Man, I'm surprised you wake up 3 a.m. I didn't know that, Coach. The big.
Sorry, what did you say?
I didn't know you get up at 3 a.m.
Yeah, actually earlier. So because I have to do graphics and other stuff. Yeah.
Damn, that's hardcore, man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. But thank you for always joining. You too. You do make exceptions to join the panel.
Yeah. I mean, we've kind of talked about this Pulisic situation all the time. I know I'm in a position where I feel like in terms of that American pool, I think that well has gone dry. I mean, how big of a factor is it now? I mean, we've had him for three seasons, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit more. 3 seasons. Like, how much more can we get from this American squeeze? Unless it's a whole new promotional thing, I can see Todd Bowley milking that. But I mean, for how long? I just don't think it's a major factor anymore. And it shouldn't be the factor of whether he stays or not. But for me, he's still young, so I still think he's going to get better. So I think he's one of the players that should stay, and would prefer the older players like Ziyech, Lukaku already gone, and Werner to be the first ones before him. So
why are you calling for Ziyech to? Why do you want Ziyech to leave when in fact we've heard the manager say he something that we're seeing some factors in what the manager also said. What we're hearing that the manager is looking for players that will help him transition into different systems, which means again there's a chance he accommodates Ziyech in a position he likes to play in.
Did Tuchel actually say that?
No, we're not sure, but that's a chance. We know him. I don't know him to be playing three at the back all the time. He's known to switch up formations.
The reason I said what I said is that we have 6 attackers, right? Maybe you can say more, but say there's 6. We play with 3 up front, with one role being deep. Over 300 million being invested in there, and our goals, assists, chance creation have all been pretty subpar, right? Have been pretty bad. We threw money at the problem. There's no doubt about us investing in that area, and we've been lackluster for a long time. Then you look at what happened. Lukaku's a whole big problem in itself. That was the biggest part, a third of that money thrown, the most expensive, and turned out to be one of the worst. Getting him out, was great because that was a major problem. Now you look at everyone else. Ziyech can't play the system we're playing now. Can only play a certain way. He's on and off, non-consistent. He's what, 29 now, I think? I think Ziyech is 29. Ziyech?
I'm not sure, but I'll check for you. But go ahead, I'll check for you.
Anyway, so out of the attackers, he's like the second oldest, right? He's the guy that should be, the more experience, showing more consistency. But he wasn't that too, and he's not going to get better. So he's another one that should leave. And then Werner's another guy that's big wages, came in big rep, and has been cursed when he almost does everything right, but score. And then you got Mount, Havertz, and Pulisic. These boys are all under 25 years old, haven't hit their peak yet. So you can say, yeah, they're not doing the best, right? I think Mount is doing good for his age, to be honest. And Havertz playing a different position than what he was, than his main one. But these boys are going to get better. So I'm happy for them to stay and improve and improve in the system. Where the other 3, they're in their peak, some beyond their peak, and not working out. So so we can't keep these 6, right? Something's got to give because nothing's working out. So we cut half of them. I'm happy to see the 3 names that I mentioned go, get new 3 players in, and then work like that because you can't keep them because it hasn't worked out. And if you're just going to keep them for sentimental value or some kind of hope that Werner just has this great breakout season and Lukaku wants to play, and then Ziyech, we change the system for him, and all these, hope. That we can. This is the other thing, Coach, that might not is not a guarantee as well. We can change the system, and it still doesn't work out. There's nothing to show that these players are just going to thrive under a new system. All of a sudden, they haven't showed consistency and like the performances to show that they're going to do that in another system. Ziyech had some glimpse, and to say, Ziyech is going to have that game every game, it doesn't spur from confidence. Imagine changing the system for that. So I'd rather get rid of him, get new players in for the way we kind of be playing, and if we change the system, the fundamentals and philosophy are still going to be the same, right? There's still going to be a lot of what is in this system, right, and the way Tuchel wants to play in the next one. Either we tweak it or not. So if they couldn't handle it in this one, there's a chance that they struggle in that one too. So for me, cut them, get some new players in, and some that are gonna that will cover the things we need the most. The goal scoring, especially, we've been so bad in that. So for me, I'm happy that Sterling's coming, but I would like another attacker. And even if we don't get no one, I hope Brozier does stay, because I think Brozier might turn into that player. Might adapt.
I think I agree with you about Broya. I can't, again, I've taken my time to look at him, taking some time to look at him again. I think he's a very mobile. He's quick. He's good on the ball. He can also play on the flanks. So Toko should be able to mold him into, the ideal striker that suits the way he wants to play. I think he can afford, he can be, you know, trained to execute that role as a hybrid striker and not as a traditional striker. That's why I have hopes that his case will be different. His case will not be the same as that of Olivier Giroud, Tammy Abraham, Mauro Icardi, and Edison Cavani. I think you could say he's more. I wouldn't even try to compare him with Tammy Abraham. I think he's a better all-round player, if you ask me that. Quickly, let me catch up with the chat, and I'll bring in Emperor to let you know what he thinks. I think I'll get everybody to talk about what they think about Christian Pulisic, what we're learning, that the club will be reluctant to sell him. And I think you made a very good point, and we've talked about that again more than a million times here, arguing that it's not going to be that easy to sell him, especially under an American ownership. Pulisic should be given the chance to play at the left wing while Starling right wing. I think that's a good argument, but Starling also would like to operate on the left where he cuts back in and then takes a shot with its right foot. So that begs the question, who starts over the other person and how do we accommodate them both in a single match? Maybe that's something we'll talk about later on in the show. Kingslayer asked the question, seriously, LeBron James made more Liverpool fans in US and not their rich history or Istanbul. I guess that's another point you made there, but I'm going to look beyond that. There's an argument I don't want to get into. What I said, I think that my argument was that there's a chance he's actually a bigger draw for the US fans than Christian Pulisic is. I may be, there's a chance I'm way off the mark with that argument, but you get my point. Rafael Botko says that if Kepa leaves the club, a good backup would be Dutch international Justin Bilo from Feyenoord. I don't know much about him. Kingslayer CFC, I'm not saying LeBron James is the only reason they have US fans, just saying a part of it. Yeah, I think it's a good argument to say he's a part of it. Nick Nag, Lukaku has only signed for Inter on loan, so even after this season, he's still contracted for another 3 years at Chelsea. Again, that's the aspect of the whole Lukaku going to Inter Milan that I didn't like. It just doesn't make sense that we'll let him join Inter Milan, on a deal that they're not obliged to buy him at the end of the. Is it a 2 year loan or a year loan? But
2
even
year.
if it's a year, even if it is a year, he comes back older, and there's a chance he comes back worse than he left us. Why am I asking? Because Inzaghi approaches the game differently than Conte does, that it likes to do. Plus, the two Lukaku's chief creators then were Hakimi and Lautaro Martinez, and now Hakimi has joined the PSG, and Martinez has become his own man. He's become that is what Lukaku was when they were both there together. So I think there would be you could call it at this point conflicts of interest. Lautaro would want to continue being the man, and now Lukaku is back, and I think they expect him to be the creator rather than being the man that it's been since the absence of Lukaku. But we'll see what happens. Emperor, I'll come to you and I'll bring you into the you could say Christian Pulisic argument. What do you think? Should the club keep him? Let him go? Let us know your opinion on that.
Yo, can you better hear me?
Sorry, and by the way, how are you doing, brother? I hope you're doing well.
I'm good. Can you guys hear me properly?
Yeah, crystal clear.
Yeah, I hope everybody's good as well. Yeah, Pulisic, man, he's been underwhelming, to say the least. But I think with a lot of our attack it's just a circumstance of us not having. I'll keep on banging on this drum. I don't know until when. Our attack has been mishmash. Take this guy, take that guy, and hope it works. So Pulisic came from a Dortmund side where everything was free flowing in terms of how Dortmund builds their sides, and now he goes into the side and he's under Frank, who arguably is not the the ideal manager to have. I mean, Frank is starting his whole managerial career, and he doesn't know what to do. I mean, we saw how many players were like, we don't have instructions, and that, I think that hits his confidence, knowing that he's this American brand, and every time he goes to the international break, he just turns on. Like, he plays the way he wants to play, and I think the system is suited for him to thrive in the national league and in the national team. Sorry. So if you look at Chelsea, he's not the guy. Like, you can see that the team is not built around him, and every time you look at Pulisic, like, he looks lost. He doesn't look happy. He looks like in the when in case of like when we press, like, he doesn't know when to press or when to sit, like in games. So I feel like he's somewhere unhappy in this whole side, and I think for us, we're not gonna let him go. Number one, because the whole American brand thing and the World Cup year is gonna come with numbers and stuff like that, because he's gonna be the number 10, and America are gonna be like, yo, Pulisic, that's all we know. He's for majority, not a lot of Americans, but some Americans know football. But majority of Americans are like, oh man, Christian Pulisic, who's that guy? He plays for Chelsea. Oh, what's Chelsea? So they hoping to hook, a lot of Americans with him. So it's I don't see him get us letting him go because of that. But the problem lies where Christian Pulisic would go. He doesn't have the how can I put it, the leverage to ask for teams to build for him. Like, if Christian Pulisic had like ridiculous numbers in the Bundesliga, like double-digit goals and assists, he would come to this Chelsea side, and after winning that Champions League, he would be asking, for, can you build a team around me? I mean, look at what I'm doing in America. Look at what I was doing in the Bundesliga. So can you build a team around me? He would be asking those questions. So he can't do that. Looking at everybody being, not the performance people that we asked for. So he's in this middle place where he's like, I can't ask. I cannot. I want to leave, but where am I gonna go? It's a World Cup year. He's in the middle of nowhere, and I think he needs, like, a hug, like a coach to come in and say, yo, TT needs to come in and say, like, yo, bro, this is your turn. You need to do this. I got you. He needs that whole thing under his, like when a coach loves you, like, it's there and it's showing, and you get the time, you get the game time, you get the proper instructions, etc. Because you can see with Pulisic, there's a player in there. He's arguably one of our best finishers, but okay, in certain cases, but he makes the runs. He puts in the effort. Let me put it like that. So maybe in his preferred position, yes, left wing. He has competition with Sterling now. So I don't know what's going to happen, because every Chelsea fan will tell you about, lockdown Pulisic. Like, every Chelsea fan misses lockdown Pulisic. And that's the only time where he was happy under Lampard, and that was funny because we were scoring goals and conceding a whole lot of goals. So when we fixed our back line, the front line suffered, and yeah, that's what Tuchel needs to work with in this upcoming preseason. And not only that, man, TT is working with not a full squad. That's another thing that's bothering me right now. But yeah, I'm okay with him still.
Yeah, go ahead.
His point. No, I'm saying I'm okay with him staying, but TT needs to get the best out of him. I don't know how he's gonna unlock him again, but yeah, he's 23, so it's not a train smash at the moment, but he needs to start performing.
Yeah, again, he needs to show that he deserves a place in the team. I'm going to quickly, thank you very much for that input. I'm going to try to catch up with the chat and call to Rodrigo if he wants to add something to it, or if we should move on. But we'll see. Let me just quickly catch up with the chat here and then come back to the panel. Smith David said, good evening, bro. Napoli's sporting director, Cristiano Giannoli has revealed that Koulibaly is untransferable meet links with Chelsea and Juventus. Again, I don't think so. They're just trying to get as much money as they can from the sale of the player. They know the player himself wants to leave. Again, there's a chance he stays because on learning they have an offer on the table for him that he said he wants to look at it again. But we'll see what happens. I'm not sure yet. Again, clubs will always tell you that they don't want to sell a player, but there's always a fee for every player on planet Earth. Just show them the money and they'll let the player go. I know plenty of US Ghana fans who became fans because of the invisible and the French history. Things like that do win fans over. Again, it's same as B said about Chelsea. Pulisic isn't the only reason that Chelsea have US fans. You visited United States before. I think I've been during when Madrid visited. I think Pulisic wasn't actually a Chelsea player then. We have quite a lot of Chelsea fans in the United States, and this is because there are also Mexican immigrants who love the game so much, and all the South American immigrants who are Americans also, or generations of South Americans who's lived quite long enough in the United States who love the game too. But that's another argument for another day. I hope Bali gets the Portuguese CR7. He might get this a handful of new fans. Again, if we're talking about getting fans, Pulisic, Sterling, Werner, Cho all want that option. Here says Lukaku should have been sold. Again, I'm not going to talk about Lukaku. So quickly, if I really hope we keep Broya. I'm going to skip everything except if I see anything about Pulisic here, I'll read it. I want to read only stuff that's aligned to what we're talking about right now, so we're not everywhere. It's a good competition, in my opinion, for Pulisic. Maybe the boat can rotate. They're not. There's no chance Pulisic plays all the games or Sterling plays the whole game. And if you want to join the panel right now, we have a full panel right now, 6, which is the maximum. If chance comes in, I'll bring you in, Bobby. I know you can hear me. Again. It will be a good competition, but it remains to be seen how both players take it, or maybe if there's a way to accommodate them both at the same time. I don't know if that's possible, but we will find out. Again, it says, good morning, my Chelsea family. Big up, straight up from Jamaica. Iban's nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. I haven't seen you in a while. Please do let me know that things are well with you. Kante being offered to Arsenal again. Until we'll talk about that, let's talk about what we're talking about right now. Pulisic should have been sold. Martinez brought in. It sounds easy, but it's not that simple. Interesting one. Would Chelsea sell Kante? We'll talk about that later. We'll highlight it. So, Rodrigo, do you want to talk about this particular topic, or should we move on?
I'll just say a few lines, really. For me, when it comes to Pulisic, we're going to, in this season, we need squad depth, right? We're gonna have 5 subs, and you will have a lot of playing time. So yeah, that's it really. Everyone has already the panel's already discussed in depth the commercial. You need to improve it, you need to improve there. But what I'm just gonna say, you'll have plenty of time, and we can't just keep selling. We also need to have enough players, because if Ziyech goes, then if we bring Raphinha or whoever, I think we still need a Pulisic in the squad. There's still space for him. Yeah, that's. Can go to the.
Thank you very much, Bobby. You want to say anything about that quickly so we can move on to the next topic?
Sorry, Coach. I just want to ask. What does this mean for Callum Hudson-Odoi as well? Because he's also on that left wing position as well. I know he likes cutting in.
But he likes to cut, but he can also operate on the right-hand side. Maybe that makes a difference. I'm not sure, but if anybody on the panel want to answer that question, you can comment.
Yeah, what you just said is he can play on the right as well, and I think that is the plan. Because I think, although for me, I think he's better on the left, he can play on the right and he can add a lot of value from that right side. The positive about this, and the little interview that he had with Chelsea, he's trying to develop his strength, or he says that's his goal. That in itself can benefit him, because it means that not only will he be limited to the left, he can also play on the right. Because although on that right, or when you're playing against your opponent, you're playing against the left back, it means that then it will benefit no matter what side he's on. So if his strength develops, it means that he'll be able to face other type of fullback. So it also benefits him that way. And right now, there's little certainty about the right side. So I don't think the club would be as quick to get him on loan or to sell him. I don't think selling him is the best option. But I do think that they it's a case where they may look at his situation and say that, you know what, we don't really have much of a right winger. Ziyech
And
is on the verge of leaving. So we need somebody to cover that side as well.
Yeah,
Can I just
I think you just
can I
made a
just
good point there. The fact that he's able to play on the right hand side broadens his chances of getting game time. Rodrigo, you want to say something before I bring in Bobby? He's ready to speak.
I just wanted to add
Mhm.
one more thing. Callum when I see Callum playing on the left when he cut in, his finishing is not good enough. So I think I see him as a pure. If he plays on the right, he plays as a pure winger, hug the touchline and cut in, cross the ball in. I think he's better on that position. I think the left. I think we need to leave that for Sterling and Pulisic to fight it out for that position. Because I think
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to put Sterling as a right wing. I think we're gonna obviously he's gonna give us his directness there, but I want him to play on the left so he can cut in and be almost a version of Salah if he can
Mhm.
if he can improve obviously his conversion rate and get us goals.
Yeah, Bobby, you want to come in now and quickly? I want to say thank you to Dill's CFC coach. I came out to let up Bobby on. Big up to the panel and the chat. That's so lovely of you, brother. And you know I love you so much. Bobby, go ahead. You want to come in now?
Yeah, I was just trying to respond to your question, but I was
Hmm.
on mute.
And you can also,
You're
while you are
asking,
at it, you can also talk about where that leaves Callum Hudson-Odoi, because we have Christian Pulisic who likes to operate on the left. Same thing as Raheem Sterling. We don't know how Tuchel, what plans he has and how he wants to deploy these players. And that's a good question by Emperor, by the way. So while you're answering the Christian Pulisic question, I want you to let us know where you think that leaves Callum Hudson-Odoi.
I think we always forget that what Thomas Tuchel wants is adaptability. And if you play on the left, he likes you to be able to play on the right as well, especially as an attacker. And if you look at the profile of all these players, they can play on both the left and the right. They may have their strengths, but in game, before game, during game, that interchangeability is what he's looking for. And it's often better to have a player with a greater strength to play on the left,
Mm,
playing on the right, than the other way round. Simply because they will be able to cut in. I think Chelsea's forward line should be quite exciting next season. It wasn't bad before. People, I've heard on some streams, people talking about, oh, they don't create chances. I beg to differ. I think Chelsea create ample chances. In fact, even more chances than most. The problem we had was finishing the chances. Hopefully, Raheem will help with that. And the fact that he's more left wing than right wing and so on doesn't really matter. It just adds to the ability for these players to be able to interchange. That's a
mm,
very powerful weapon to have in the forward line.
can,
mm,
can I just say? Sorry if Bobby you finish. It's quite good because I think we can actually see how. Let's say we operating on the premise that we get
mhm,
Rafinha, right? Um, if we get Rafinha, then on the right we have Rafinha and Kalamatsan-Ndoye. On the left, Pulisic and Sterling, and in the middle we have Kai and Broha. Do you think that's enough for us to, because all of them they
Really
can
respect
interchange?
Werner. It's
Oh yeah, and Werner. Oh yeah, and Werner on the left as well.
Yeah,
So
that's okay.
do
I
you
think
think it's
that's
enough
enough. Yeah,
uh, for the season? And do you think these players interchangeably they can, fit each other's slots and still perform at that level in each game? Or do you think it's a preference thing that I like the left side, I like the right side?
I think
yeah,
it's enough. And this is the importance of them all being together in pre-season. One good thing about getting Sterling and getting him over to the States as well as Brozier is that our forward line will be together in pre-season in America, and we'll be able to start to rehearse things. This is the time to get things sorted, not during the season. That's why I'm so anxious about getting the defenders in as well, because that's also a very important thing, that time for them to rehearse their disciplines, their organization. When Tuchel came into Chelsea, he came in to meet defenders that were here already. Okay, he made them better, but it wasn't a matter of getting them used to each other. It's about getting them drilled, playing his way with players that they're used to. Now we have to bring in defenders that aren't even used to playing with each other, and they need that time. That's why I've been screaming and shouting, get these players in, get these players in, because this is the time for that. But with the forwards, I think that's enough. I think I would be happy with that. I think we should give Brozier an opportunity, unless we find in the preseason that he's not really impressive. Then we have a problem, because then we've got to get someone in. But if we find that he is somebody that we can work with through the season, certainly from his current attitude and application, he seems to be that player. Why not? Why not go with what we've got? I think what we've got is very, very mobile, very interchangeable, very unpredictable, and very dangerous. It really is. And we haven't even mentioned the midfielders behind them, your Conor Gallagher's, your Mason Mounts, and some of these guys that can come in as eights and also, become a problem to the opposition. So, yeah, going forward, it doesn't look bad at all.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Let me quickly catch up with the chat. We have 127, 130 people watching, and we have 42 likes. Let's shoot for 300 likes a day. Please do help the channel get 300 likes for today's stream. So if you haven't, do take a second to like the video and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Luigi Pellegrini says that the Leeds has a problem with positioning. Again, let's keep it to what we're talking about right now when we get to the lead, but I'll highlight this when we get to that, whatever. If you want me to read your comment, make sure that it's aligned with the particular topic that we're talking about right now. This has to be the season Cho steps up. Yep, somebody on the panel did talk about Cho and plays to his potential, or he needs to be moved on. I think he would do well this coming season. And glad we have Michi back, but Sel, Rahman, and Miasga, get them off the payroll. Really? You want us to keep Michi? You'd have to tell us why. I was frustrated with Pulisic because he always wanted to play on the left. Tuchel gave him his chance. It didn't turn up, but it's a bigger chance for Pulisic competing with Sterling. Again, I think he's a confident player. It remains to be seen how well he does now that he has a competition in the person of Raheem Sterling, a big name. Maybe we'll see how confident he'll be. But the truth is, he had the opportunity to stake a claim for starting place throughout the season. Even for the one that I didn't like, that got me mad was 3 games before the Champions League final. He was fielded. He participated in 3 big games. He started in all of them, which was a big opportunity for him to stake a claim for a starting place in the finals of the Champions League. But he didn't take that opportunity. I wasn't happy because I wanted him to do well and start in the final, but that didn't happen. I don't like this guy for Chelsea. De Ligt. Again, that's your argument, Pearl. And again, welcome to the channel. Please keep liking the video. We're at 47 likes now. We're always halfway to 100, but we're shooting for 300 today, and I know you can help us get there. Pulisic should be subbed, a column to be played on the right. Again, we'll see how the manager wants to deploy them. Are we getting CR7? I'm not sure. I don't know. There are conflicting reports out there, and we will talk about that in a bit. Hudson-Odoi compete on the right side. Again, like I said, he can play on both sides. He can also the top thing. I think the best game I've seen him play under Thomas Tuchel. He didn't score that day, but he was brilliant against Tottenham when he played as one of the 2-8. He did quite well. He can also play in that position. So the ability to play to play on the left, play as one of the 2-8s, play on the right, that broadens his opportunity. The opportunity he has to get more game time. I'd rather sell Ziyech than Werner. That's your argument. The games are 38 cup games in Champions League is long, so we need 22 players to cope with the season, the demands of the season. If you want to phrase it that way, keep Werner for another year and sell a Ziyech. Again, you could some people want the club to do otherwise. It depends who you talk with. I'm going to come back to the panel, and I want us to look at this. I'll switch to this. This is just an update, but if anybody wants to add anything to it, they can. We're hearing the Roman. I think part of the contract. I'm not sure how truthful that is. That part of the agreement is to let Cesar Azpilicueta have it his own way to do. The club should allow him to leave if he wants to leave. If he wants to stay, then fine. Here, Fabrizio Romano says Barcelona have confirmed that Cesar Azpilicueta is saying their plan to sign Cesar Azpilicueta in the next weeks, but Chelsea are still asking for a fee. Negotiations are needed. There's nothing advanced between Chelsea and Sergio Dest. I think I've seen that before. Again, the whole thing comes down to it looks like the player wants to leave. The club also they've come to terms that he will eventually leave. But the whole thing is being, delayed. Barca wanting to get everything on a free this time, or maybe very cheap. This one here is the most confusing of the whole thing that's going on this transfer window, the Dembele saga. Again, I know we all heard when I think it was what's his name, Grimes, who broke the news that we signed him on a 5-year deal. He's going to join us. It's a matter of time and all that. And we were going crazy. Only a few looked at it and say, I'm not sure how truthful this is. And it turns out it was all bull doo-doo. But that's, by the way, now this comment here, it says Ousmane Dembele's situation, same as yesterday, agreement in place on a 2-year contract, working on the final details. Here's where the aspect of this whole thing that gets me confused, but still waiting for Barca board to approve the deal. Wait, what are you telling me? Aren't they part of the negotiation? Laporta is well aware of the negotiation. He's the one that's always talked about the negotiation. So I think it goes beyond what we're hearing. Something isn't quite right. And at this point, I'd be right to say that Barca and Laporta himself, who fronts the whole thing coming out of their camp, he's shameless. Bobby, your thoughts, please.
I came out of a platform to join you, actually. I've actually prioritized you this morning, where I discussed this particular issue. And it amazes me that people, one, are still listening to Barcelona. Two, UEFA hasn't either sanctioned them or kicked them out of the Champions League or deducted points because of their clear violation of financial fair play and the irresponsible.
I'd argue, really, if you can let me come, I'd argue, really, I think they haven't violated anything, except if you want to explain further, I'd like to understand, because they're selling their assets, which isn't wrong.
Well,
and
the fact that you don't have a viable financial plan and you're trying to buy players on credit is enough to make UEFA actually speak up. And had this been any other club, they would have been either sanctioned, reprimanded, or spoken to about conducting their financial business within their current capabilities. What Barca is doing is living above their means and gambling on their name that will help them get out of their financial problems. This is not stable stuff. And this is not what my understanding of financial fair play and the economic side of football the governance of the economic side of football is about. I think there's a lot of underhanded stuff going on here. Now, coming to the aspect of Barca and Dembele and so on, it's a bit of a comical situation. I sent you a DM that apparently the current bid by Barca, which was a sort of credit bid, has been rejected again by Leeds. And I said, well, isn't it time that really Deco and Raphinha get sensible and close the deal with Chelsea? Because the longer this goes on, the more red flags should be coming into their camp. And let this be a lesson to Dembele and all other players that don't understand the change in dynamics of the financial landscape that exists in football because of COVID. The only clubs with money really are the top 6 English clubs and perhaps Newcastle because of their owners, but even they're beginning to act outside of FFP regulations. But, it's only the English clubs that have the money and definitely PSG and perhaps Real Madrid, who people still are wondering how they suddenly sorted out the financial problems they're in. People have to understand that Barcelona is 1.5 billion in debt. 1.5. That's no chicken money. Now, regardless of their name, their size, or anything, it's going to take some time to get out of that debt. And what they're doing is that they're postponing the debt, hoping that their relevance and their sustenance of success will help them get out of debt. And that's not how to go about it. Now, I know this is an entirely different situation, but when Chelsea had the transfer ban, we went an entire season plus relying solely on our academy, and we were successful. We're one of the few clubs in world football that can do that and survive, but we did it. Now, we've heard a lot about Barcelona's academy. This is a time where they need a season or two purely dependent on this so-called academy, like we had to do. And that is the only way they can justify or show creditors that they are addressing sufficiently their financial situation. Now, back to Dembele. I know this is a long part from me. I just need to get some things cleared up. Dembele is greedy. He's a greedy so-and-so. He gambled and he failed. He asked Barcelona for more money. They couldn't afford it, and they offered to give him less money, and he refused to sign a contract, thinking that Chelsea, PSG, and Bayern Munich will be stampeding over him. None of them have. PSG don't want him. Bayern don't want him. Chelsea are hesitant and are looking elsewhere. So now he's found.
And there's a chance. Barca say, you know what? We're sorry. Just go.
Exactly. So now that he has found that, look, he's not that much of a hot property that he thought he was, he's gone back cap in hand to accept the 40% deduction in income that Barca offered him when he was under contract in order to have a job. And now he finds himself in a situation where Barca are considering this. Okay, fine, you've accepted it. We're going to talk about it, whether we want you anyway, or whether we want to go somewhere else, or whether we don't want you or Raphinha because we can't afford either of you, or we can afford both of you. So it's still very up in the air. And he is a reality check is really sinking in because he snobbed Chelsea, who, at least in theory, told him that they would pay him at least what he was getting at Barca. He felt, oh, I can get a lot more money than that. Well, you can't. And in fact, you've ended up getting a lot less. So I don't really feel sorry for him. And in fact, it would be interesting if he and Raphinha find that Barca suddenly get a reality check and decide they can't afford either of these players, which in truth they can't. There's no point continuously borrowing. When you see somebody's in trouble, is when they're in debt and they feel they can borrow their way constantly out of debt. They don't have, they've lost financial discipline. They've become deluded and desperate. And what they need is a reality check, somebody to inject that discipline into them to say, right, the spending stops now and the recovery starts now. That's what Barcelona need. They need somebody on their board to say, right, all this mad spending stops now. The players we have, we pay them. The players we want, we reject, and we rely upon what we have, which is our academy. It may affect the project going forward for a number of years, but you devise a plan to obtain as much success as you can while you navigate the waters. I come back to Chelsea. You know, this Chelsea that people try to scoff at, their entire history is written with times at which Chelsea have turned to their academy. They've, right from when they won their first league in 1955, they did it with their academy. Every trophy Chelsea have won to date has been with their academy, and has been at times where they've gone through austere periods and had to adjust. The difference between us and the likes of Barcelona is that we've got to a point where we told ourselves, look, the spending stops, whether forcefully or not. Nobody has ever given Chelsea credit or accolades for how they conducted themselves during the transfer ban. What we did was remarkable. The fact that we still ended up in the top four with our academy players and an inexperienced ex-player supported by members of the academy coaching staff is absolutely remarkable. We navigated that situation, albeit we were fortunate enough to get one or two experienced signings in before we hit the ban. It was only one or two. I think it was only like Giroud that came in. The rest of the players were players that were either here at the time or came from the academy. And we had one target and one target alone, and that was to aim for the top four. And we just made it. I think we even got to an FA Cup final, and that was stolen from us, but that's another conversation. So Barcelona is in a deluded sense, and they're not thinking straight.
So overall, in the case of Dembele, Bobby, what do you think will happen now? Because you could argue he's in nowhere right now. He's in purgatory, if you prefer. Because, like I said, they may well come back to him and say, you know what, we've changed our mind.
No, what I think will happen in reality is because Xavi likes him, and he has actually accepted that pay cut that they offered him, and it's a 2-year deal. I think they'll take him.
There was a reluctance.
They just want him to sweat. They want him to sweat because he made them sweat.
Then it's a risk. They're taking a huge risk if they really want to keep him, and they're trying to make him sweat. It's a huge risk.
No risk. Nobody wants him. He's desperate now. Who wants him? Who's going to pay him? Everybody knows he's been offered. He's been offered a 40% cut, and he's accepted it. So there's nobody that's going to come up with big money for Dembele. Nobody. If anything, the money now that he'll be offered will just be maybe about 5,000 a week more than the cut he's taken at Barca, which in itself is a cut. So he's undercut himself. Everybody knows it. Barca knows it. Remember, Barcelona don't do things in a good way. They do things in a very sort of sly, corrupt way, and they're vindictive. So they'll keep him sweating, they'll keep him waiting, but I think they'll sign him because he's accepted a cut, and that's what they need to get their finances in order. And to be honest, if they're realistic, he is at this moment in time a better option for them than Raphinha, because there's no, he's a free agent. There's no transfer fee. There's nothing.
Mhm. Again, again, there's an update from Ben Jacobson. Thank you very much for Emperor for alerting me to that. Let me just quickly catch up with the chat so I'm not far too behind. Said, but Dembele is a free agent. Barcelona don't need to approve anything. They do need Xavi wants what he wants. The board will now, look at it and say, okay, he also wants Xavi. Can we? He also wants Raphinha. Can we get them both, or can we just get one? If we're able to get just only one, which of them would it be? That's why I'm saying there's a chance they come back to Dembele and say, you know what, this is not going to work for us. But we'll see what happens. Is how can we take anything that the Spanish oppressor reports with the BS from Barca and their transfer issues and violations? Again, we'll see what happens. Bobby is right about Barca. What should happen to them? Deals not the first, all the same. Again, let me see. I'm going to try to skip everything. I highlighted some questions and I'll try to read them later. Again, I've read that before. Can we rent the Camp Nou to unveil Sterling? That's hilarious. Yeah, I know why you're saying that. Barcelona will never pay that debt. They will overall. Oh, I give up nothing to do with the FFP. They are allowed to sell TV and merch rights. It's still club generated income. There are no FFP rules. Again, I understand the argument quite well there. We had one summer window ban. Semes Atletico had this constant assumption that they are breaching FFP is incorrect. Again, Barcelona was viewed by Bayern that they might exist in years because they might not exist in years because they don't want to sell Lewandowski to them uncreated because they might not be able to pay in future for Dembele. I heard that too, but there's a chance that's absolute nonsense. There's no way to tell who said what. The interest alone on 1.5 billion euros of debt would be at least 75 million euros. Again, tell us how you came up with that number. Breaking news, Stalin will have his medical this afternoon. Thank you very much for saying that. That's some good news. I want them, all the players that we've been hearing that are coming to Chelsea, let them stop coming and come already. Stalin coming to the breach this afternoon. That would be nice to see. What are you talking about, mate? Barcelona has a lot of money. They don't even need to sell. No, they need to sell those things they're selling to have money. They don't have a lot of money. I check Absolute Street. Yeah, I will. I've checked it. I'll check it. Was it talking about you? Please let me know. Chelsea, in theory, we're 1.6 billion in debt, and we had to get a special deal from the government. Mr. Raz, I haven't seen you in a while. I hope you're doing well. Hello, guys, and hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Kim So, this is the first time I'm seeing you this morning. I hope you're fine. Hello, Coach. We should get Koulibaly as a second CB, Ake as a standalone. No, but with another CB, yes, we should be all over Koulibaly. I don't know. Some people are saying that he's one step closer to joining Chelsea. Some reports are saying that he's considering the new offer from his current club, Napoli. It remains to be seen what happens. Barca will convince Dembele to stay. Will convince Dembele to stay at the club. As I heard, they've already come to an agreement. All we're hearing is for Laporte and the rest of the board to approve it, and boom, it's done. Again, go for Nabry instead of Raphinha. 1997 FA Cup, 1998 Cup winners, and League Cup 2000 FA Cup Academy. That's a question. That's a question for you, Bobby. If you want to answer that, fine. Go for Nabry instead of Raphinha, says King So. And Sadbik Baida, I hope I pronounced Baidia. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Barca is dragging Raphinha bid, so there's a second economic lever. They don't have the money at hand. They may have to make more sales to garner the money to come get the player. All these players, Chelsea agreed, and we signed where. Why is it not happening? Talk about Ronaldo. That was fake. Every big player we getting just stock, to be fair. Selling a TV rights, merch rights is legal. They're not borrowing. I think I've said that myself also. Again, Stalin only signing. Again, we learn from each other. True Blue, are you a Barca fan? No, he's not. I think he's I think he's well acquainted with the financial aspect of the whole thing, and he is trying to educate us on some stuff he thinks we don't know. Again, a big up, Glenn. I will give a Cho one more shot at Chelsea. I think he would do well. I'm convinced, really deep down convinced. Well, 75 million annual interest is assuming a 5% interest rate, might well be higher than that. Thank you for that calculation. True Blue, again, I don't want to read that. Now, if I hear Ajabu says, why are Chelsea fans so much bothered about Barcelona and their debt? We should actually start talking about ourselves, but there are reasons why it's more like the elephant in the room, and we cannot just skip that. I know we've read that's on the screen right now. I want to bring this update here, and I hope that's the one you're talking about. Emperor, please do let me know. I think it's this one 15 minutes ago. And it reads, let me see if it differs from what we've read. Ousmane Dembele letters told Xavi has made it clear to the board again that he wants Dembele to re-sign a 2-year deal at 40% pay cut has been agreed, but Barcelona leaving Dembele hanging for now, even with a paperwork ready. Offer still is only formal proposal on the table. That's why I said this is the most confusing of all the transfer nonsense we've been hearing. So, Emperor, you can come in. Talk about the situation.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
Yeah, you can come in and talk about the Dembele situation. Not your thoughts on everything we've been hearing.
Yeah, I think at the moment, Xavi's just going to make the decision for Chelsea, and every Chelsea fan should be happy we're getting Raphinha. This is my thoughts. This is not here we go moment from Fab, but I think we're going to get Raphinha. I don't think they're going to cough up 60 M's. I don't see them coughing up anything at the moment without that second lever. Even if they do get that second lever, it's a problem because now what happens to Lewandowski? What happens to their other signings that they're trying to get? So I think everybody's frustrated with Barcelona, players and clubs included, and a decision needs to be made. And already, I think Xavi is comfortable with Dembele, seeing how he performed after he took over the club as well in the coaching department. He likes Dembele, and Dembele wants to stay as well. He's willing to take a pay cut as well, and I think it's already agreed on that. On his part, on Dembele's part, he agreed. It's just waiting for Barcelona to agree. But I think they just the fact that they're waiting to agree is that the fact that they're thinking, can we get Rafinha and then let Dembele go? But financially, it's not going to make sense for them. I think the best financial decision is for them to take Dembele on a pay cut, and then forget about the Rafinha situation, because I don't think they wanted Rafinha like that. I don't see it as a thing where they building something new, etc. I don't see it like they were serious about picking a plan for Rafinha and all of that. I think it was just a situation where they scouted the player and they were willing to bring him on. It's just that the other teams were also looking at Rafinha. So I think we're going to get Rafinha. Most probably next week it's going to be done, or maybe tomorrow morning we're just going to get a breaking news telling us Rafinha to Chelsea, because the player I think is frustrated, and Deco as well as the agent is frustrated. So yeah, with the whole Barcelona situation and Dembele, I think we should forget. We're getting Rafinha. That's my thoughts. That's my 2 cents.
I hope that happens. I sincerely do hope that happens. Again, here Ghost says BLM stands for Barcelona licensed and merchandise. Again, that's a very hilarious scheme. So it's a 25-year deal of 10% worth billions. That's what they're selling to make money from. They still get 90%, which like most TV deals will continue rising. They are not risking their future. 6th Street know that 10% will rise. That's 6th Street, I think, is the company that's buying that percentage of TV rights from them. Declan, coming to you, you can come in again. Maybe you will help me, because my brain fries trying to understand what is going on how the Dembele camp is, how they reason at all. Again, I just don't know why he's willing to stay back at the club. Also, I just don't understand because at one point he and Antoine Griezmann were they were scapegoated because they wanted them to leave. They wanted them off their wage bill. They had the video of the racism row in Asia. They didn't bring it out until they wanted them out of their wage bill. So, but again, and more importantly, Emperor, thank you for that input. You can come in, Declan.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting now. They've done a 180 on it where he had a good season. Harvey wants him, so they'll be conflicted. I think still though they want every player that's on big wages to take a pay cut, and they might get that with Dembele. I don't even think our offers probably near what he was getting at Barca because that was quite high.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a risk with Dembele. I think everyone knows that. If you look at his injury history, he's out of all the years he's been at Barca, this last one was the only consistent and good one he had. That's a massive risk to throw so much money at. So I think clubs are wary. I think Bobby said it that they did it. He did gamble. It is a big gamble, and I think a lot of players take that gamble, on the advice of their agent to really try to get the best offer, and they still might get it. We don't know how many parties are in for Dembele. It might not be just Barca and Chelsea. There might be more offers. I think that they want to create a bidding war. There could be multiple teams. So I think with Dembele, I think they are out for the best offer, or else he would have had a club already set and signed. So they're just holding out. And yes, it is a gamble because they might end up with less. So, but I think they're prepared for that too. I mean, that would have been the risk. You take the gamble, and these are the possible outcomes, or you can actually get the wage you're after. So I guess we're still in the race. Like I mentioned last time, that meeting with Bowley was probably negotiated a lot of deals. Chelsea could have pulled out of the Dembele deal, so Barca was one of the only options left for him. And in return, we could get another player. That could have been on the cards.
We don't know, yeah.
Barca getting Dembele on a wage cut. They'll be over the moon with that. For a player that out of contract, get it re-signed on a cheaper wage.
Mm-hmm.
That actually had a good last season with him. That's a great deal for them. I mean, they might give us Raphinha if we pull out of Dembele. I'm sure something like that was struck. Like I said, there's multiple players. If we're in for De Jong, that'd be great too. That's the one I actually really want. I want us to hijack that deal. We're giving Aspie, maybe Alonso too. So I think we're in time for multiple deals, and that's where the whole hold up was. I feel with Barca. So I'm hoping it happens. I'm hoping it happens, and then it'll just give out, and then you could see Barca signing a couple, Aspie, Alonso maybe, and they doing some signings, and then we get a couple signings as well, and all of a sudden we've gone from one to three signings or something like that. So I'm actually seeing how it all works out because that meeting was probably crucial.
Yeah, and again, I'm not even sure. One cannot be sure how serious we are at getting Dembele. Actually, since I'm hearing we actually offered him less than kind of the new deal that Barcelona were offering him. But you could argue the difference is that if he comes to us, he gets a sign-on fee because he was coming out as a free agent. Maybe I think Barca has it. Don't they? Do they have to pay him a sign-on fee right now because he's a free agent too? I don't know if there's some sort of clause that just say okay they can extend it. I'm not sure. We have 117 people watching and we have 69 likes. We need just 31 more to get to 100 likes. So if you haven't, please take a second to like the video. Again, I've read that before. It said Chelsea should not leave unless it's a loan. And big up Emperor, my body. Again, if you haven't, go check out the Coolest Chelsea YouTube channel. That's the Baggers YouTube channel, and be sure to subscribe. And when you do, let him know I sent you. Hit the like button, people. Please keep liking the video. Let's shoot for 300 likes by the end of the show. I am only saying, Coach, that a true blue keeps saying Chelsea or where in 1.5 billion debt like Barca. That's okay. Again, created that debt. Barca or everyone, including their own players. That's a huge difference there. Also, again, in a Chelsea, I've been since, again, I don't want to start reading how long somebody has been a Chelsea fan or not. In Spain, they are talking about signing both Raphinha and Dembele. Do you think that is possible? I don't think that's possible. It just doesn't make sense. Again, my argument is that they contemplating which of the players makes more sense to them. And we've always heard that they're not able to accommodate both players. It will be add more financial stress, again a burden on them, if you want to ask me, in terms of player salary, and plus the sign-on, the fees that we'll be paying to Leeds United, because then they're not getting what's his name, they're not getting Raphinha on a fee. So that's, if you look at the situation quite well, it's starting to look even more. I think we're gonna get a Raphinha, but we'll see what happens. Again, our PJ artists, don't forget to like this stream. PJ artist, nice to see you again. I hope you're doing well, brother. I sincerely do hope everything is well with you. Guys, update. Leeds have recently rejected Barca's current bid, and he's now likely to end up at Stamford Bridge. Again, they're still talking, so you cannot say immediately that means he's coming to us. And I think I've seen that update too. But that's, by the way, thank you very much for everybody who's talked about this Dembele conundrum. Ty, your turn to bring in your argument or your thoughts on a Dembele issue.
Honestly, this whole thing is hilarious because Dembele met with Tuchel. Tuchel spoke to him. He said he's open to the move, but he wants to see what Barcelona will offer, and if Barcelona will offer him something that he can agree to. The situation is, the initial offer that we made to him was something that he was earning at Barcelona. So that is something that I find hilarious, that now it's being said that he's willing to accept a 45% less in terms of a pay cut than what he was being offered and what he's earning, what he was earning at Barcelona. I find it hilarious that this is the case. And I mean, right now, I mean, if he falls apart and he's a free agent, only thing I can do is laugh, because he could have resolved this situation for himself a very long time ago by accepting something that he knew there was a club that was interested in him, but I think the club has cooled that interest. And I think maybe in a sense, using Dembele as a, what's the reference used, as a screening, you know, to go for Rafinha and get him. I think in this sense, Barcelona want to get both because they need that depth. They don't have that squad depth, so they need that squad depth. So I think that is why they want both. But for financial reasons, I think that could be an issue for them, because at the moment they don't have it. I do think that it's a case where they're gonna try and try and try. But right now, you know, Leeds are persisting that they want to sell to Chelsea because they have met their demands, and they're literally going to give them the fee amount that they asked for upfront, compared to Barcelona that reportedly wants to give them it over a period of time, which I don't think Leeds want to do, because they need that in terms of funds, so they can continue to finish their rebuild for Jesse March, or to start their rebuild. So I don't understand this whole situation. I think there's a chance where Dembele will end up going and staying at Barcelona, but I don't know when that will be, because I think that like Bobby was kind of saying, they're just trying to make him nervous or try to make him sweat, because he's played games with them since January. Saying yes, I'll sign. No, I won't sign. Yes, I will sign. No, I won't sign. And that is something that considering they're in their financial issue, they can use this as a leverage to him to say that you played with us, so it's time for us to give you a taste of your own medicine. And I mean, in a sense, you can say he deserves it, because if you want to stay at a club, and you want to see if the project will work there with you continuously, you don't freeze talks and then you reopen talks because you realize that no other club is willing to come in for you. PSG, under the new director that they have, are not really willing to go for him in that regard. And people are saying that if they get a certain manager, they may go for him, but I don't think that is the case. And no, it's not even that manager that people thought they were going to get. So I don't think that the interest will still remain, because that manager plays a pragmatic way, and I don't think Dembele would suit them. So PSG in itself is out of the picture unless that manager is deciding to change the way he does things and use a different way.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ty, for that input. Again, I'm going to catch up with the chat and I'll come back with the panel. I says here, the coolest Chelsea says if Chelsea won't sign either Raphinha or Dembele, who is the third person. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it was declared yesterday that argued that's a chance we don't get them both. And I think even if that doesn't happen, I think in the attacking area, I think we'll be fine. And if that happens, that may well lead to the club not letting Hakim Ziyech go. And even if Hakim Ziyech leaves, as you say, we should be able to play with what we have until the January transfer window. The priority should actually be the defensive area. And from what we're hearing, it doesn't look like, again, we're wrong, probably. And this says Raheem starting to begin his medical in London this afternoon. Nice to see, according to Sky Sports. And it was a tweet from Vince, as you can see on the screen. So I think, let me ask you this again, Declan. Maybe you can help, enlighten us on how I forgot how you explained it yesterday. If we don't get both players, what happens? Before Declan comes in, please, if you're watching, take a second to like the video. We need just 23 more likes to get to 100 likes, and we'll have 111 people watching right now. So Declan, your thought. If we don't get either Dembele or Raphinha, what do you think will happen? Do you think we'll be okay? Do you think it's necessary that we'll find a player that will play in the position that we've been looking? Because, again, you could say there's so definite position, actually, because Dembele can play on the right, he can play on the left, except Raphinha, you can say he usually likes to operate from the right-hand side. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I want to get your thoughts, Declan.
Yeah, the point I was making yesterday was that it was after I was talking about that meeting, and I think a factor was the fact that we have Conor Gallagher and Broja, who could be playing most likely in those attacking roles. I mean, if they stood, and we just got Sterling in, and we had Broja. I mean, if you thought about it, Broja for Lukaku, Ziyech for Gallagher, I think we'd still be alright. And if we went for, like I said, I was keen for De Jong. If we went for De Jong, we went for centre backs. If we threw money in those positions, we would probably be a lot better. If we just had it like that. So that's the point I was getting at then too. And we could miss out on both. I mean, something had to give. Like, after that meeting, Barca found some way of making a bid. I mean, it might not be the last bid they make. Maybe they're creeping towards the bare minimum of what gets them over the line. So I think they could end up with both Raphinha and Dembele.
You said, do you think Barca could end up with both players?
Yeah.
Okay, never. There's nothing is impossible. Again, I have to I have to say the truth. Bobby, can you come in and let us know what do you think happens if if we're not able to get either of the two players? Again, your thoughts on what do you think will be okay going forward, or do you think we really need to bring in somebody? Again, we have 110 people watching and we have 77 likes, just 23 more to get to 100 likes. Bobby, you can come in whenever you're ready.
Look, Raphinha is a very important acquisition to take us to the next level. And he's a player that is good for us to get. Is he a player that is essential that we can do without? Yes, we can do without him. He's not a sort of critical purchase as is perhaps someone like De Ligt and another centre back and sort of the left wing back position replacements, the defensive replacements. So Raphinha is not really up there as a priority. That's partly why we've dropped the money, we've met the requirements, and we've backed off, and we're sitting and waiting, and very cleverly putting Barcelona under a heck of a lot of pressure for this deal. So would we crumble without him? No. Would we benefit with him? Absolutely. So we're in quite a comfortable situation where he's concerned. Barcelona, I mean, to be real, it's messy. You know, there are too many red flags there. There are too many red flags. Even the way they're going about doing the deal, even if they end up doing the deal, the whole thing just doesn't look good. And if I was advising Raphinha, I'll say, look, your career first. Go to a club that's financially stable, that has a good project, and has a successful pathway for you, than walk into something that there's too many ifs and buts. You know, oh, maybe they're doing this. If they get this, what if they do this? There's too much of a story around Barcelona at the moment, and I don't think it is viable. You know, that's why Leeds have dug their heels in. How can you sell a player based on trust? On what basis? Oh, we'll pay you such and such. Okay, you know, it means nothing. So all their proposals have been time wasting. That's why Leeds have just rejected it. I don't know what else there is to say about this, how it's going to end up. The only sensible thing I think for Barcelona going forward is they like Dembele. Dembele has now come back with his tail between his legs, accepting their pay cut. I think they should go with him and forget Raphinha. That's just their reality. Will they live in their reality? No. And that's why, you know, these people talking about, oh, they haven't breached financial fair play. Financial fair play goes beyond the financial breaches. It stems into your living beyond your means. And at the moment, what they're doing is living beyond their means. If you're having to sell parts of your home or sell your furniture in order to keep your home, then you're actually living in a home that you can't really afford. And that's what Barcelona is doing at the moment.
Yeah, that's a brutal analogy right there, but it does make sense anyway. I have to tell you that again. Thank you, people, for 79 likes. We have 99 people, 100 people watching. If you haven't, please take a second to like the video. We need just 20 more likes to get to 100 likes, and we're shooting for 300. And I still believe we can do that. Please help us get that. Glenn says, I need Batshuayi to unleash his demons so he will get selected as Martinez first choice. No what cover for you, Lukaku. Sorry, again, I get that, but that's hilarious. It is really funny indeed. I must let you know, we don't need a Dembele. That's your argument. What if the manager needs some? Again, when we talk about players, Chelsea are looking at, we should stop, I think, using the word we, because it all comes down to what Thomas Tuchel wants. And we have been calling. Sorry?
I'm really sorry. Can I just add this one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to add to what Declared said
Mm,
about this meeting between Bowley and Barcelona.
mm,
Listen, Todd Bowley didn't get on his private jet to fly 3,000 miles just because he wanted to have lunch in Barcelona
Maybe
for an
maybe
hour.
somebody pitched the
You know,
meal for him.
there's been some significant conversations taking place there. And I
Mm,
think with time, we will start to see what they are. Um, were they successful? Well, time will tell. But surely the reason he went there in the first place would have been with a measure of confidence that they would be successful. And I think some compromises have been made along the line. Now,
mm.
that might just be at the level of Aspie and Alonso, maybe, but I believe that can be done over the phone. I think there were some bigger deals sorted. I think Raphinha was discussed. Perhaps De Jong was even discussed. I don't. I'm very vague on that deal. I'm not really invested in it. I don't really care either or. But I think something significant has happened because shortly after that, some movement took place. They made a bid for Rafinha. Then they have called a board meeting to consider the two players, Rafinha and Dembele. I don't know, but I just feel that Chelsea, represented by Todd Bowley, didn't go all the way to Spain to have lunch with Barcelona for no reason. Something took place in that meeting that will tell with time.
Yeah, I do agree with that. The coolest show says, Glenn, what wouldn't happen? And then MC Raz at 3D says, I like it's like we'll talk about Neymar will come to Chelsea. It won't happen. We know that already. Let's give chance to Bashwai, brother. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see what Thomas Tuchel does. Barca all players. They want to add more players. Again, that's funny. Really, I must let you know. This team should be taken to court. Why you can't take people to court for again for that reason. When abuse my mod status. Yeah, thank you very much for saying that, Glenn. Afternoon, Glenn. After have I think I've said hello to Glenn. Don't like that Starling's price. It keeps getting higher. When I first heard about the deal, it was 35 mil, and now it is 47 mil plus 10. I don't. I could care less. I think it's worth the price, and I still do think he would do well for us. Again, what do we have here? Pedro Neto is a good player. Maybe that would be an option. And I'm actually learning that we asked Man City about Laporte, and they don't want to sell him. So I think we looked at every player. There is some
I'm so
planet there.
happy.
Yeah. Ice Cube. Ice Cube says, hi, who do you think we should sign as wing backs if Aspie and Marcus Alonso leaves? Ty, I'll have you take that one.
Do you who do you think we should sign as wing backs if Aspie and Marcus leaves?
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of options for me. I think the most viable one or feasible one for me.
And by the way, let me just educate him quickly. We don't use the word backups here. Did he say backup? Oh, as swing backs. Okay, he didn't. Okay, not my fault. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah. So the thing, the most viable option is this we call it fullback rather or wing back. He plays for Atalanta at the moment, and his name is Joaquim. I may butcher his name, Joaquim Miheli. If it's wrong, then forgive me. He has the capability to play as a left back and as a right back, and he's defensively good. He's very good for Atalanta. I am struggling to remember what team he plays for internationally, but he's very good defensively. So that would cover both sides
Mm.
as a competitor for not only Chilwell but for Reece James, and he does have the offensive side to him. He's a good player, and I mean, if possible, the club should really look at him because he's an interesting player, and he has the perfect balance of offensive ability and defensive ability. So it's
Sorry, who
something good.
again?
Uh, Joachim, I may butcher his name. He's Danish actually, so he plays for Denmark.
Go ahead.
So his name is Joaquin Miheli. I don't know if anybody will know in the chat who I'm talking about, but he plays for Denmark and he plays for Atalanta as well, and he's very good defensively and he has that versatility as a left back and as a right back. So it's somebody the club should look at if they want a feasible one, because it would be beneficial than having to sign a left wing back and then a right wing back, and it'll be expensive. Yeah, Ice Cube knows what I'm talking about.
Declan, how about you? Any suggestions?
You know, I'm actually. Well, it's not what I want, but I believe that we might be actually. Like, I think Emerson might stay. It's good. Maybe Kennedy might do well and become, that your favorite word backup. And even Dijon Sterling can even perform, which he did last preseason. I think he might. I think that the competition for the wingbacks could come from what we already have. I could see that happening. I would like for them
Is Dejan
to
in
go after
America?
someone.
Is
Sorry?
Dejan in America?
I think it was Matson that
I
was
think
dropped.
it was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the question?
Yeah.
What was the
I
question?
was asking if Dejan Stalin, if he traveled with the team, didn't he?
He didn't.
He didn't.
No, he didn't.
I
He's
did
not in
it.
any
I
pictures.
thought he
He's not
was.
in the list. He's not. There's Matheson and Dujan Turner are not there.
That's
Go
very
ahead,
good.
Declan.
Sorry to
Okay,
disturb
yeah.
to interrupt.
No, it's good that you made that point. I really thought he was on the list, and I was looking forward to seeing him in the preseason. But regardless, I think the point that we might look within for those positions might be still a massive possibility. That they just do that and not invest in those areas, and invest in other areas that we desperately need. So I think that might be a case. I mean, with the wingback role, you can kind of it's very, if you've noticed, it's very experimental. So Tuchel has thrown a lot of people in that role. A lot of people in the past have, become wingbacks. Okay, like Moses and stuff. Alonso wasn't a wingback before, playing that role. He just turned out to be good. So I think it's a role where Tuchel could try a lot of players that we got, and you never know, one just turns out to be great all of a sudden. So I think because of that nature, I think that we might see that in preseason, and Tuchel actually picks from what we have for covering the role, and we don't go buy players. Even though I would like to see someone bought, but more importantly, I want to see probably different areas first.
How about you, Bobby? Any suggestions on what we should do if we don't get our win backs?
Honestly, I'm with Declared. Preseason is going to reveal a lot. The last preseason that Tuchel had, I think he was like a rabbit in headlights. He had 42 players. He didn't know whether it was coming or going. But I think now he's more prepared and he knows who to look at. I remain concerned that Dejan wasn't on the plane. I think he's somebody that Tuchel liked last summer, and that doesn't make any sense to me. But regardless of that, this is an opportunity to review people like Kennedy. It's an opportunity to take another look at Emerson, who he likes. So, we do have these players. It's just, have they been given that opportunity to really fit into Tuchel's plans? Well, this is the purpose of pre-season. So the left wing back position, we may not be as desperate as we are in the right wing back position, where we need someone to rotate with Reece James. Because one thing I want us to avoid doing is overplaying Reece James and Ben Chilwell. This is what happened last season, and this is why they went out with injury. Why we lose our players to injury is that they have no rotational option. And so we play them and play them and play them and play them and play them till they're dead on their feet. So anybody coming in on the left or the right to rotate has to be good enough to carry the team. And that's where I can start to understand why Tuchel is looking at Nathan Ake and is prepared to pay so much money. Because not only, he really is versatile. He can do CDM, he can do left centre back, and he can do left wing back. And that's very, very important to a team like ours that has to thrive and live on rotation. So yeah, I mean, this is it. That's why, yet again, I come back to my main thing. Our priority at this point has to be centre backs, because that's where we are completely deficient. The other areas, we have players that are adaptable. It's not ideal, but we can use them if we really, really have to. Whereas the centre back positions, we have absolutely nothing. In truth, we need experts in that area.
Yeah, we do. Again, I think I'll just point out to what something Declan said that I think will happen. I think we may well not be too serious about it. You said the same thing too, looking at left wing back position, because we'll still have Kennedy and Emerson at the club. And I think they're still under contract, both of which I think each have at least 2 years left on their contracts and will not leave. Maybe we're not prioritizing getting any player there. But just quickly, Declan, I want to get your thoughts on the fact that we're not looking at Klaus. I'm not sure if you've seen his numbers.
Numbers are good, but it is, the French league, so it doesn't really translate exactly. And he is an older player too, so you'd think that it's a temporary solution. I guess he would come in, but he's very good at that role. And the price tag that was reported was great as well. So I was actually looking forward to that one if he wanted to come in, because he was cheap. So
And
I don't
he's
mind
a Chelsea
about
fan.
Everyone's a Chelsea fan, remember? And
Get out of here, Declan. Just support me for once, please. Go ahead.
everyone's a Chelsea fan, and every player Tuchel likes. That's how it's reported. We're linked to every player. Oh, it's crazy. The Klaus one could happen. Maybe the Klaus one is like a towards the end of the window. Maybe there's other targets. Maybe he's just
Did you see the news that he may be joining Olympique de Marseille?
Yeah, if that's the case, then we'll probably never in for him. That might be the case.
Yeah, maybe we'll prefer when it's expensive. Maybe that's the case.
Yeah.
All right, no problem. I'm going to try and catch up the chart with the chart, and I'll come back to the panel again so we can continue. But I think we'll be rounding up soon because there isn't so much to talk about. We just get bored. There are some questions. It gets even more boring if we try to stretch it without nothing new to talk about. But I think there are some questions I'd like us to address. The coolest Chelsea says Jonathan Klaus. I think I've read that one too. And please, if you're watching, we have 97 people watching and we have 86 likes. Just 14 more likes to get to 100 likes. And like I've always told you, I'd rather you like the video than donate your hard-earned money to the channel. You being part of the conversation, you being part of the chat. Again, okay. And you be, even if you're not, typing in the chat, again, I appreciate your support. Those things alone do go a long way, so you don't need to donate. Just keep liking the video. Again, Deal CFC said, Ty, my brother Stalin touching the breed straight up from Yad Brooksy. Again, I hope he gets the medical done. Yep. So that one crosses the line. Dusan Stalin was going to come back. He's a big talent, according to Thomas Tuchel. Guess the kid have hopes. If he didn't travel with them, what's happening? That's why, again, I think you are the person that has always questions Thomas Tuchel, whether he's really, truly willing to give the youth a chance. We'll see. Losing Kante on a free is going to suck, but I cannot hold anything against that guy. Nicest guy. in world football and what a tank he has been for us. And he's an exemplary professional. Most importantly, he's one player that if he gets to leave on a free, then I'll hate everybody that was there and didn't find a way to renew his contract. But that's, by the way, I still don't think would let him go. We'll see. Maybe for financial reasons, like the client has argued here or on the panel before. That again, that's a chance that happens. Actually, if we don't get wing backs, we go for okay, Phantom. Okay, count how many players on the pitch. I know it was a mistake. 4-4-2, probably you meant. Again, I am still mad as Sports got Richarlison. To me, I never wanted Richarlison, but my argument has always been if he's a player the manager wants, again, I will never argue against that. Again, what I like, the only thing I like about Richarlison is his fight. Whenever he's on the pitch, you can see the grit, you can see the determination. He never gives up. And his numbers as an offensive player in terms of pressing are very, very impressive. I think you must look at that to understand what I'm telling you. I agree. He and Aspi deserves to go where they want. That's the truth, especially N'Golo Kante. But I'd like us to still keep him. He's a player that's capable of still helping you win stuff. Examples that I always use, we won the Europa Cup with a half-fit N'Golo Kante. We won the Champions League with N'Golo Kante, who's not fully fit again. But let's see what happens. If we do not get win backs, we go, yeah, are you repeating that, or did I go back to it by any chance? What did Barley discuss with Barcelona about Marcos Alonso and Cesar Azpilicueta? I'm not sure. I wasn't there with them, so I just cannot tell. I disagree. Todd went to Barcelona to talk about Alonso and Aspi, but I don't think he was there to talk business on the young or Dembele. If we want those players, they must have talked about them too. Again, maybe he enjoyed the meal and started coming home. We don't know, but we'll see what happens. Like Bobby says, as we get the clear understanding of our activities in the market, that may well help us understand what they may have talked about that day at the table. You just know there is a secret transfer that went under everyone's radar. Might not be a massive signing, but you will see. Again, it might be a massive signing too, because Todd Boehly is a very smart man. Like I've always said, he didn't become a billionaire by being stupid or being dumb, if you prefer. I think he is a very, very smart man. Again, we have 104 people watching and 87 likes, just 13 more likes to get to 100 likes. Please help us get there. Our target is 300, and I still believe we can do that. It depends on how many more people will have joined us in the show. That we've always argued also there's a chance, like you said here, there are players we're talking to that we don't know about. But that's, by the way, big up Kuchila and the panel. Gov 1905, I haven't seen you in a while. Please let us know that you've been well. Again, nice to see you again. Phantom, we have wing backs, James and Chilwell. He will do the same as last year, first wingers. Maybe that happens, but we'll see. Mods, Blizzum, I'm not sure. Yep, I think I've done that. Kuchila read my Dijon Stalin post properly. I was being sarcastic. Yep, I know your point, because I've read your stuff long enough to know you don't think Thomas Tuchel will give the youth a chance, but we'll see what happens. Has still recovered. I think he's been training, so he's fine. Italian output tutor Juve has reported that Manchester City are ready to offer Juventus 76 million for De Ligt. I think these reports are just trying to help Juventus get, squeeze out the most they can out of the clubs that are interested in signing the player. Garbage. Somebody wanted to come in. Was that you, Bobby?
Absolute garbage.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
Yeah. That's one thing they do better than the British made, that they know how to help the clubs in the countries to get what they want. Let me talk about this. It just occurred to me we haven't talked about this brother right here, and it's important we do. We know that the defensive area should be the club's priority, and probably is, but because we don't know what they're doing, we just cannot tell what player they're talking with. I think for some reasons we're able to. The news for other targets we're able to hear about them And in most cases, we've learned that there's sometimes 80% of the times can be absolute nonsense. The question I want to ask you, Bobby, is this. It doesn't look like we're serious about Koulibaly. We're hearing that he's one step closer to joining us. We're hearing that his priority is to join, his preference is to join Barcelona. And now we're hearing also that he's asking for time to consider the deal that Napoli has offered him, the new deal, the much improved deal from what they had offered him before. Do you think we have a chance to sign in this guy?
I have a feeling that he's not a priority. I really do. I think the priority is De Ligt. I think there's an awful lot of effort in going into the De Ligt deal. I don't have absolute evidence of that, but I'm not sure that he's a priority. And the only reason for that is that we're looking for a long-term solution. And at his age, he can't be a long-term solution. Why we're looking for a long-term solution? Look, as I keep saying...
How about balance? Balance is important.
Balance is very important, but I think Tuchel is quite confident that he can use De Ligt for balance with somebody else. It might be, people aren't even talking about Bremer. That's another one that once was on the radar and could well be under the radar being done. I don't know. All I know is that why De Ligt is such a priority is that the loss of Rudiger was an expensive loss. It was cheaper to pay the money to keep him than to pay the money to lose him. And
here's what I've learned about your argument regarding Antonio Rudiger. Can I come in if you don't mind?
Yeah.
I don't think you've taken your time to look at it and in fact consider there's a chance that Rudiger wanted to leave because he gets more money if he gets to leave on a free. And remember, even before, a few years earlier, 2 years earlier, if you ask him, or a year earlier, just to be safe, if you ask him, if he started talking with the club, his response has always been, he would do that after the Euros. He's not in a rush to talk with the club. And on all those things, we were actually close to agreeing a deal with him. And Thomas Tuchel was confident we were going to keep him. And then the sanctions and the restrictions and everything struck, and we couldn't do anything. He could have waited to see what Todd Boehly had to offer. He was such an important player for us. I think he'd know also if he stayed, he'd get a better offer. But overall, if he leaves, he gets almost, you could say, 3 times as much money he'd get at Chelsea, even with his salaries combined, because he gets a sign-on fee. I really want you, even if you don't agree with me right now, to go take your time and look at it to find out that the player himself actually wanted to leave because he gets more money if he leaves. But the difference, what I think the club was here on the panel when we talked about it, I didn't like it that, in fact, when he was leaving, he engineered, a narrative that made it seem like it was everyone else's fault that he was leaving. Again, could we have done something to done more to keep him? Yes, but the truth remains he wanted to leave because it is business for him after all, as much as it's business for the club. But go ahead with what you were saying, brother.
Well, I maintain this. When you lose an asset, you have to be accountable for that asset for whatever reason. The Rudiger situation was a comedy of errors, some of which involved Frank Lampard, some of which involved his own injury. And as far as I'm concerned, a large part of it involved short-sightedness from the board and a lack of football understanding. Now, initially, Rudiger had no eyes to go anywhere. It was only eventually that he decided to start to look elsewhere, and the financial viability of that became more apparent. Now, this is after the horse has bolted now.
Yeah, I guess that's another good way to put it, because I just learned something now. Maybe we wasted too much time, and then he learned he could actually make more money if he leaves on a free.
Yeah, that's just that is an argument I've always raised. We wasted too much time. Now, We keep coming up with, oh, this, oh, that, oh, this. One of the first aspects of being accountable is accepting responsibility. Yes, we did waste time. Did we offer him the correct money to stay in the beginning? No, we didn't. Now, it's like an alcoholic. First of all, admit you're an alcoholic, then you can find the cure. Once you admit you're an alcoholic, then you start looking at the reasons as to why you're an alcoholic. So what is happening at Chelsea is that we're still deflecting because we're trying to protect certain people that we like and so on and so forth. Forget that. Admit it. We made a mistake. Then we can start looking at the reasons. Then we can talk of the Lampard effect. Then we can talk of his injury effect. And then we can talk of sanctions. And then we can talk of a lack of football knowledge and learn from it. Ultimately, what happened is that even paying Rudiger a sign-on fee, which his brother, who's his agent, wanted, it all would be cheaper than paying for his replacement. So this is where we are now. We're paying for his replacement and we cannot penny pinch. And it makes absolute sense that whoever we bring in to replace him is young enough to be long-term because of the cost. And that person at the moment is De Ligt. We've identified who it is. Everybody knows who it is. Now let's go and get him. The longer it stays, the more difficult it will be to get him. Is he Chelsea's saviour? No, he has his own faults. Is he somebody that Tuchel can confidently work on to improve? Absolutely. As Tuchel improved Rudiger, he will certainly improve De Ligt. Is it a financial risk worth taking? Of course it is. This is coming from a club that threw 100 million at a guy with cement in his boots and took that risk. So much more this player that has played with Bonucci, played with Chiellini, captained the Juventus team, came from the Ajax academy, has played Champions League. I mean, has played in Serie A. He has the potential to do well. Is mobile, is physically capable of dealing with the Premier League, has leadership abilities. Come on, and we need. That's
so
why.
over, you don't think the club that Koulibaly is a priority for the club?
Funnily enough, I don't think he is. I would love to have Koulibaly. I would love to have them both. But as I've said, in view of the project, I think the club have seen that, look, replacing Rudiger is going to be expensive. So let's do it right. If we're going to spend money, let's spend money on somebody that is long-term rather than short-term. They might go for both, but that will be expensive because I think Koulibaly is looking for about 350 K a week. That's another thing that people fail to understand. He's looking for big wages, and it becomes a matter of affordability. Now, De Ligt will probably be looking for big wages, maybe not as big, but pretty close, but it's long term. And it's more value for money. That's the only reason.
Ty, are you still with us? I want to get your thoughts on this matter.
Yeah, I'm so here crying.
Crying?
Yes.
What happened?
Tears of joy.
What did you see? Update us.
No, just about the Raheem Sterling thing because he's making history at the club. That's right. That's just it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ty's Jamaican, so
yeah, I
understand that. He's the first Jamaican-born player. We've only had descendants of players of Jamaican descent in terms of family members. But anyways, this thing about Koulibaly is
No, that's true. That's not true. We had Frank Sinclair. He was Jamaican. He even played for Jamaica.
I mean, in terms of being born in Jamaica, I'm sure Frank Sinclair was born in England, but he decided to play for Jamaica. Anyways, with Koulibaly, It's a sticky one, and I mean this is why I keep saying that we need to take these reports with a grain of salt because um it's a case where we're hearing that he's going to be come to the club are on the verge of signing him, and then the next minute you hear that the club are still negotiating a fee for him. Napoli do not want to hold a move away from him because they have accepted he wants to leave. So I think with this situation, I think it's a case where if he leaves for free, it's beneficial. So I don't think it's a case where he won't be okay with staying for one more year and trying to run down his contract. This is a situation where I'm hoping that it doesn't come down to him having to do that, and that the club, if they are willing to get him, and if he's still one of the main targets as we keep seeing from the media, that they'll be able to find an agreement with Napoli and get him over the line in order to to at least have a temporary replacement for Raheem Sterling. What am I talking about? For Antonio Rudiger, and in that sense, after that, maybe we find another replacement. The only question is that with Levi Colwill, the attitude that he has right now is that he should be starting, and for me, I really
But
do.
how did you guys come to that conclusion?
No, let me
How did you
finish.
guys come to that conclusion?
Let me finish. What I'm saying
Right.
is that the situation with him is that he believes that he should get a chance. That is fine, and I can understand that because the situation is when you look at players like Malang Sarri that did not have an impressive season. He had a couple of good games, made some couple of good tackles, but I can remember the Zenit game where on two occasions he made two mistakes and we conceded. People want to blame Kepa, fine. You can blame Kepa, but that's his height problem. You can't do that. And then he did it in a cup game. I remember what game it was. He kept trying to do an offside trap, and he stepped up, playing the guy onside instead, and it ended up. So his decision making is an issue. So when Levi Colwill looks at the season that he had at Huddersfield, scoring a couple of goals for them, although he scored an own goal that got Nottingham Forest promoted, he never dropped his head. He never lost confidence in that game. He in the second half he played with great strength, with great confidence, and then you could see the comparisons. Although I don't really like comparing players to these legends or these players that actually did it at the highest level, John Terry, where we know what happened with John Terry, with that penalty miss, but you never saw his head drop. He cried, but eventually he got up, and after that, you got to see him, develop his game even further, making those, off the line clearances and all type of things, and he grew in confidence, and even with his personal life, situations like that, he never gave in. So with Levi Colwill as well, if Koulibaly is somebody what we want to see as a quick fix per se, to say that because he has the experience, because he's a leader at Napoli, because he likes to push all the defenders to their highest level or their highest potential, that maybe he's the ideal solution, then fine. But the situation with Levi Colwill is that he may see himself not getting the opportunity right now, and only if a deal collapse with everybody else that the club are looking at, maybe then he'll be second best. I don't know if he's willing to accept that, but if he doesn't, then that's his problem because he's not obligated to play for the club. And I mean, it's as fortunate as it is. It's a situation where, without the situation that we were placed in, with all the developments of what happened with the academy, this conversation would not be happening. It was a blessing in disguise. But I mean, if Levi Cole, if if he thinks that he deserves game time, I can understand why. But if it's a case where he doesn't have enough patience, then and he wants to leave, then let him leave. We won't stand in his way. But I think it's the case.
Yeah, but thank you very much. Great response there. I'm going to try to catch up with the chat, and I'll go to the Clyde to get his opinion, and then one final topic I'd like us to talk about is then answer some questions. We'll call it a day. For me, it's Kami says for me, Koulibaly isn't just a replacement for Rudiger. He's an upgrade. and allows us to move into back four without a liability on defense, which Rudiger was in the back four. I think there's always been that argument that Rudiger struggles when we play a back four system. Before I continue, we have 95 people watching and we have 96 likes. Just one more to get to 100. I'd appreciate it if you can help us reach 200 likes by the end of the show. Again, if we can, the 96, 99, 100, that is actually brilliant. Again, thank you for that comment. I think your argument makes sense. It says the Leeds will be an asset with a big salon in 4 or 5 years. Again, just like Hazard, a profit. I think the Leeds makes more sense because he's younger, he's a good player, he's got that leadership in him. You could argue that without... We'll miss in Rudiger because Rudiger leads by example. He's not the most vocal. Thiago Silva leads by example too. He's not the most vocal. That's where when you get a player like the Leeds, he's very vocal. He leads by example. He also communicates very well. That I think he will be an asset for us. And hopefully if we get him, I don't even want him to move on. I think if we're planning to rebuild really, we want young players, but I still advocate for a balance. Balance is key to make sure that we're very good at the back. Koulibaly is not looking for 350 a week. He wants 8 million a year, which is, yeah, exactly. I think we offered him around 250 a week or so. That's what was the rumored. What the rumors are that we offered him that amount. I'm not sure if in fact that's the truth. And we're here and we're just reaching out to him. So it's hard to believe any of those things out there. Raheem doesn't bring a phantom off loan. Sorry. Stay where you are. Hit the like button, people. Yes, keep liking the video. Just 3 more to hit 100 likes. Yes, Tobago again. If you haven't, go check out his YouTube channel and make sure to survive and also to subscribe and do let him know I sent you. Please, more importantly, Ty Talks here, who's on the panel, he has his own YouTube channel. If you haven't, go check it out. Ty Talks CFC is his YouTube channel. Again, I will make sure not to forget to provide this information in the description section. I'm not able to do it like I usually do it on the screen because it causes the screen to freeze. So again, but please go check out Ty Talks CFC. Check out his videos. Be sure to subscribe. Again, you will not regret it. Here I said, yeah, hit the like button, people. And True Blue says, take the option and stay at farm. Couldn't cope with your Nexus supporters drama. The need to be in Munich. It's a shame. It would be nice if we'll get him. Again, there's no way. I don't believe he's going to Bayern Munich. Nothing is starting yet. What we're hearing out there is that from Fabrizio Romano, to be specific, is that Juve are waiting for official bids from both Chelsea and Bayern. But rumors before that comment, that's a tweet by what's his name, Fabrizio Romano, was that we already went in with a bid, even the second bid, actually. It turns out they're all horse doo-doo. Like Kali, we've been interested in him for years. Who is it talking about? I'm not sure who that is. The Leeds is on 200K a week. The 230 offer to Rudiger would be a pay rise. And even I wouldn't mind us giving him 250. Frank Sinclair played for Chelsea and the Jamaican national team. I think Bobby already said that. Only counts is born in Jamaica, apparently. Okay, hey, Kachila and Panel, Just Viola. Nice to see you here, Queen of the House. I hope you're doing well. I hope things are with you. They say lateness is greatness, so welcome. Again, hi, everyone. Again, anything else? I said Raheem Sterling is the first Jamaican-born footballer. Didn't say he is the first Jamaican to play for Chelsea Football Club. I guess you can get away with that if it was a mishap, so you win, Ty. Kachila, if I say where I am on September 10th, I will be rooting against Chelsea at Craven Cottage. You will lose with them, and unfortunately, friendship will be thrown out of the window until the game is done. Yes, Ty, we get it. Sinclair is Jamaican, and of birthplace does not diminish your ethnic. Again, he was born in Jamaica a lot. Left when he was young. Kai is your name. Thank you very much, Kai. Welcome to the channel. If you haven't, please take a second to like the video and also do subscribe to the channel. You'll remember a few years ago when we were linked to players like Tarkowski, Lewis Dunk, Andy Carroll, and Petr Cech, all of them, Peter Crouch, so to speak. Yep, I do remember that. You root for Fulham. So he can run like Usain Bolt. Maybe that's stereotype, by the way, just Viola. But I know you don't mean it. It's nothing bad about it, but it's stereotype. And seriously, but it's not in a bad way. It's not, yes, he can. Yep, that's funny. Big up, everyone. Any updates here from Daniel Crane? Justin Raphinha would join Chelsea in coming hours. Barcelona offer dinner match Leeds United. Demands if ESPN can anybody share the link? I want to see that. Maybe yeah, really want to see that. And Daniel Crane, thank you very much for that update. I hope it is the truth, and I appreciate it. You even provided the source. But that's by the way. I'm going to come back to the panel, and what I want us to really talk about is this. As we're hearing, I think it was Dales that first talked about it, and I'm seeing some comments from was it Fabrizio Romano. Bobby, I'm starting with you. Even if we're going to sell in N'Golo Kante, will he ever be to Arsenal? Because he will make them a much, much better team. Because one of the, yeah, I know they have the Ghanaian, what's his name, Partey, but Partey isn't anywhere near N'Golo Kante in terms of reading the game, breaking up opposition attack and that, and also is supporting the attack in most cases and scoring goals. I don't think he can measure N'Golo Kante. So I want to get your thoughts, Bobby.
You know, yesterday I was quite upset and quite brutal in my assessments when there was no sign of any signings coming in, because I had said that yesterday was the deadline to having at least one person come in. The Raheem Sterling development kind of put my mind at ease. But if you remember in our discussion in the evening, part of that was that I found that in reading around transfers, you can't help it but read all these sort of clickbait artists and all these fantasy journalists and brown envelope journalists out there that push stories for their clients and their clubs in order to try and stir something. To cut a long story short, you know, Arsenal don't need any more midfielders, number one. Number two, any story saying that N'Golo Kante is leaving Chelsea this summer is absolute, total, and complete garbage. Garbage. Quote me on that. It ain't happening. Thomas Tuchel wants him. He wants to keep him. The only reason he's not in America today is because of his vaccination status, which the club has respected. Not everybody wants to be vaccinated for whatever reason, and the club respects that. Remember when it was about to be a problem traveling to France in the Champions League, we had concerns, although the identity of the players that weren't vaccinated at that time was kept confidential. But we've now come to see that it was, N'Golo Kante, one, and Ruben Loftus-Cheek, two of our only midfielders at that time for that game against Lille. So fortunately, that wasn't the case, and they were able to travel. So this time they can't travel. Nothing more, nothing less. They will have their fitness training regimes for when the club comes back to meet them. So anybody that's fantasizing, trying to throw mischievous things into the hat to create more anxiety and so on in the Chelsea fan base is just fooling themselves. You know, the whole transfer business is a funny time. You know, there are some people who deliberately do this. They like making other people anxious. They know that Chelsea fans, this is their hobby. To many of them, their heart is in it. They love the club. It's a good distraction. And
Garnering followers and all that.
Exactly. So some people are mischievous. They like to come up with these things knowing that it will upset others. It will cause anxiety, to create a kerfuffle. They love it. They just love it. Whatever devil pushes them to do that, they embrace that devil. So ignore these sort of stories. They're stupid stories. They're not even objective, and they just waste your time and energy.
Declare, how about you? What your thoughts?
I mean, I read that report about Kante not being vaccinated. I think that's probably that would hold back on any club actually trying to buy him.
You think so?
I heard Loftus-Cheek's in the same boat. Yeah, that becomes. You can respect the player. I get all that, but that becomes an actual issue in terms of traveling to some other countries. Might not be able to play some games. Being more vulnerable to actually getting it and missing out. I think that is an actual factor, and maybe it takes away from clubs being interested. And I heard Loftus-Cheek's in the same boat as well.
Yeah, he is. Ruben is not vaccinated. Yeah, 2 of them.
Wow. Yeah,
But, it's their
yeah,
choice.
go ahead, Bobby. You were saying something. Go ahead.
No, it's their choice. It's a grey area. I know what Declared is saying, because certainly if somebody's bidding for them, it will be part of their cost evaluation.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't see Chelsea having, definitely Thomas Tuchel. He has no intention of selling either of them. Todd Bowley has said himself that the issue of player contracts will be addressed from the end of July to the beginning of August, starting with Reece James and Mason Mount. And I'm sure N'Golo Kante will be amongst them. Of all the older players, he's definitely one that's lined up for an extension. The person that I don't think they will extend is Jorginho. I can't see that. Somehow, and he might be allowed to run down his contract. I don't know. I'm speculating, but what I do know is that N'Golo Kante is not on any list to be sold from Chelsea Football Club for sure.
Wow. Again, your thoughts on this one, Ty, and Declan did make a very good point, and Bobby did make it even clear for me to understand. Yeah, cost evaluation, because you don't want during big games where you want the player to travel with you, you find out that he's not going to have to travel because he's not vaccinated. Yep, again, I truly understand that. Ty, you want to add anything to that? Because there's an update I want us to look at. And again, if you're watching and you haven't, please take a second to like the video. Again, thank you for 103 likes. That's not easy. We still have 109 people watching, so that's huge. Ty, you want to come in, or should we move ahead? Okay, if Ty is not there, I'm going to try to catch up with the chat. Where did I stop? By the way, I think I was farther down here. I think I haven't read these. Says, yeah, I'm looking at it, and I'm going to use it to update people here. We must learn to accept Malang Sarr as a Chelsea player, although he's not yet near the standard as a backup at Chelsea. But there's room for growth. There's room for growth, but there's a chance the manager might not be patient with him. And I still try the best I can, to explain that that's a good player in that player, but most to tell us I have excuses that I believe actually are factual, because the time where he underperformed, where he had issues, we had the bad midfield that exposed our defense, and opponents were coming at our defenders more often than the usual, and he got blamed for all the mistakes and all that. It wasn't just him. But on his day when we had a very strong midfield, you could see there's a player in him, and he's also a good passer of the ball. But that's not one argument I really would want to go into right now. Kachila, I sent you the latest authentic source. Yep, I will look at that, and I'll compare it with the source that Daniel Crane shared with me. Any Kounde updates? Again, anybody on the panel, if you've heard anything about Kounde, please let us know. Coachella, are you going to Allegiant Stadium Saturday, July 16th? Yes, I want to go with my whole family. I don't want to miss it. I think I've come to an agreement with my wife to postpone some of that stuff we plan to do together with the kids, and I have to be there. I think I will not miss it. But, my proposes God disposes, but I hope God, disposes to my direction, and I get to go, because I will regret it for the rest of my life if I miss it. Every time they've come to the US, I've always gone to see their games, and I don't want this to be an exception. I've traveled from New Jersey to New York. It's not that far, but it's almost 6 hours drive to go watch them, and other places too. I was told that we have a 48-hour deadline for Raphinha. That was Sunday. I'm expecting Raphinha to be a Chelsea player. Now, there are some reports out there saying we have they've given Leeds until next week, according to Deco. For Leeds and Barcelona to do something, or they will look at Chelsea Football Club. So, Ty, are you there with us, or are you still far away? Okay, it doesn't look like Ty is there again. Let me update us on this one, and I have somebody I have to respond to, a very important person probably watching now. And more importantly, I want to take this opportunity to still let Studia, we love you. And again, I must say, I think as much as she's broke my heart to hear what you're going through, that you have just like, I don't even want to talk about it. I know other people who know you quite well, who know how big of a Chelsea fan you are and how much you find time to go support Chelsea content creators. I know you broke their heart too. But remember, like this says the Queen, we all love you. And we hope, we haven't given up. We know we still see hope for you. And we hope you see hope to yourself, because that's important. Again, Glenn also, who contracted COVID, I am hearing that you're recovering. I hope to see you recover even more. Again, it was, again, we weren't happy to hear that. But everybody in the chat prayed for you. And I know they're still praying for you. So here's what I want us to look at.
Sorry, Coach, I've sent you a DM about from Fabrizio Romano about Arsenal and N'Golo Kante, saying that there is absolutely no ongoing discussions to sign N'Golo Kante from Chelsea. So all these people coming out with this nonsense, like the other one, Deco has given Barcelona another week. That is not true. They said 48 hours and that's it. Whether they stick to it or not is another matter. But it didn't come 48
hours, do we have a day more, or has it expired?
I have no idea when the 48 hours is. I think, that was yesterday I saw that. So my calculation would be tomorrow. Now, if they stick to that, it's one thing. If they don't, I don't know. But there's nowhere he's come out and said, look, okay, you have another week. Hasn't happened.
Mm-hmm. So this one here from it was Daniel Crane that shared this with me. And by the way, again, guys, thank you for 107 likes. That's not easy. I honestly do appreciate that. He says, just in, and this is, I think this is managing Barca. It's a serious this in terms of talk. Whenever you talk about Barca, I think they're legitimate, if you ask me. But that doesn't mean they're perfect. And I want to see, Daniel Crane, if you're still watching, can you share the ESPN source? Because they're sharing the ESPN FC source. I really would like to see that. Maybe you have already, but I'll check my inbox in a bit. It says, just in, Rafinha will join Chelsea in coming hours. Barcelona's offer didn't match Leeds' demands. And here we have a conflicting report here. This was shared by Just Viola. He said Rafinha's agent Deco will turn to Chelsea next week if no progress is made with Barcelona. Leeds United continue to stress that they would rather sell to Chelsea, and Barcelona have been frustrating to negotiate with. Again, next week is just tomorrow. We're already today. When was this? This was today. Yeah, we're already. Next week means in a week's time. So this just doesn't make sense. Bobby, can you start before I go to Declan?
I mean, this yet again. This is maybe there's timings and so on. Next week really starts tomorrow. And this is also something that was retweeted from someone else. I think they're
quoting someone else. Yeah.
Absolute Chelsea picks things from other people, and he picked this from Ben Jacobs, who I believe was the person that said that there's 48 hours given as a deadline to do the deal for Barcelona. Don't quote me, but if he is retweeting something from Ben Jacobs, then that would have been something Ben Jacobs said a few days ago. So next week is next week. And if it was a 48-hour period, we're looking at from Monday onwards. That just about makes sense. They're blurring the lines. The ultimate truth of the matter is this, Coach. The latest bid by Barcelona has been rejected by Leeds. How long will this continue? There are enough red flags there already for Deco and Raphinha to be well within their rights to conclude the deal with Chelsea. And it should not come as a surprise if they do that. Now, I know, the anxiety hunters are out there trying to make it look like, oh, Barcelona are going to do something. They're going to get this guy tomorrow. Well, maybe. But the truth is, so far, they've had more than enough time to do this magic that they keep threatening to do. And they haven't done it. So, it's left to be seen if they can do it. Now, Raphinha is a footballer. He needs to get involved with pre-season with whichever team he's going to now, not later. So I can't see the sense in holding out any longer. And I would rather hedge my bets that a decision from their camp will be made next week. Indeed. And I wouldn't be surprised if he does sign for Chelsea.
Your thoughts, Declan?
I'm still. I mean, it's too. Look, I'm indifferent with this situation. Like I said, that meeting tells all. I think that we were always in the front for Raphinha. We put a lot of pressure on Barca, whether it was tactical or not, for our other deals. We were always going to lead the race. So I did feel like we could get him unless we pulled out ourselves. There was a lot of different news whether we're going to get him. This is his choice. He doesn't want to come to Chelsea. There's been so much. To be honest, I've been ignoring a lot of it. Whether he comes or not, what was official was that we were in for him. And if we're in for Raphinha, that means we're in for a player in a similar mold. So if we don't get Raphinha, I'm sure we will probably go for someone else. Unless it was one out of the three. Because Raphinha, Sterling, Dembele all fit a certain, they have a similar characteristic. They might be, they are a little bit different players, but they do fit a certain, they're all comparable in a certain role. So it just probably goes to show, if we were after two attackers, we got Sterling. If we don't get Raphinha, if we don't get Dembele, then there's going to be someone else. And so, I'm just waiting to see. I don't know. All the news has been kind of all over the place, so I'm just waiting to see him hold that shirt. And if he's holding that shirt, then that's great.
Yeah, like I've said, all they're coming. Stop coming and come already. Then I'll be sure you'll hear again. We have 109 people and 109 likes. Also, that's brilliant. Again, I sincerely do appreciate all your support. You guys are absolute legend. I'm just gonna wait. Let's get it to 20 more minutes. Let's get to the 3-hour mark, and then we'll end it there because it looks like there's a few questions we may need to answer here. I was told we have 48 hours deadline Raphinha. That was Sunday. I'm expecting Raphinha to be a Chelsea player by Tuesday. Let's see what happens. And what Daniel Crane said to me, in a few hours, actually, he becomes a Chelsea fan, a Chelsea player, so to speak. But we'll see what happens. Saad needs to be shipped out or put out on loan. We cannot afford to keep him as he was out of his depth last year. He's taking a lot of sticks from the Chelsea fans. Next week, we'll see. Raphinha deal been closed for almost, since 2026. But we'll see what, since 2004, let me say 1904. Again, let's see what happens to Raphinha's deal. Again, I've read that before. I couldn't find that tweet on ESPN, at ESPN FC. So they're just quoting the air. Maybe it's not accurate. But then again, I've always read some of the stuff they put out there. But maybe they may well be lying. But we'll see what happens. So Raphinha is signing. Is a what? I'm not sure what he's saying. Cho cannot leave. He's always an amazing player. You really campaigning for him. I think he's good, but I cannot say he cannot leave. If the manager will not use him, let's not keep him for selfish reasons. If he's going to leave, let him leave. And he's on a very high wage. we have to also look at it this way. News is always delayed, so the 48 hours deadline could have been 3 or 4 days ago. I think that makes sense, doesn't it? If you're on the panel, let me know if you think otherwise. I think that argument makes perfect sense. I think Sterling is good, but I don't like him. Again, you don't like him. If the manager likes him, again, we have to back the manager, and that has always been an argument. What happens to we're the ones that's been clamoring for the club to back the manager, and if they're doing so, we shouldn't question whatever player the club is looking at. And this comment here, I think it's beyond delicious. It's actually gold. It makes sense. We hear things probably later, a day or so late after the situation emerges, or again. So it makes sense to me. Ben Jacobs tweeted that today, 2 hours earlier, to be precise. I sent you that. Yeah. Thank you very much. I think you're correct. What team is Club America? I think it's a Mexican club. They have good players and they play good football too. Raphinha is going to be walking around Stamford Bridge with a cloud over his head. Everyone knows that he's not at Chelsea through and through. I understand Hazard think of Chelsea as his first choice. Again, I get your argument where you're coming from. He's a professional. And this is, again, he's not going to come at Chelsea and sulk because he didn't go to Barcelona. I don't think that's the case. And we've heard before that also he's open to joining Chelsea. Again, like Bobby argued here, I think a few days ago, the case may have been because he already has an agreement with Barca. He's trying to see if they can, come through and get the deal done so he fulfill his own part of the deal. That may well just be the case. He never said he doesn't want to join Chelsea. Look at it this way: Rafinha didn't go on preseason. He is currently at London training. That in itself tells me the player knows he will be going to Chelsea. Otherwise, he would have been in Spain. Again, that also makes sense. It would be closer to where he wants to go. What about if the argument is the papers to sign are all in England? So that you may well look at it that way. It's been 48 hours from the past 2 weeks. Yeah, maybe not yet. It's actually been. I've actually been in contact from Ben Jacobs. He's telling me that story is not true. Which story in particular isn't true? Can you tell me, Daniel Crane? I want to learn which story you're referring to. Chinedu Abiagam Dalo. It says the 48 hour for Raphinha is meant to end today. Okay, good to hear that. Again, let me see the questions we highlighted here to see if we can take a look at them while.
Coach, can I address this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thing? I really want to address this thing that some Chelsea fans are trying to peddle about Raphinha.
Go ahead.
If Raphinha signs for Chelsea, we have to just take it like any other player coming to the club. Look, Eden Hazard, one of our greatest ever players, before he came to the club, he said, look, his ambition is to go to Real Madrid. He's coming to Chelsea because they're European champions, but his ambition is Real Madrid. 8 years later, it was one of the most difficult things he did, leaving Chelsea. And perhaps the only reason he left at the age of 28 after snobbing two other earlier opportunities to leave for Real Madrid, was that he saw that, perhaps the time has come, and it was very, very financially lucrative for Chelsea. Eden Hazard left very reluctantly, and to this day he loves the club. There are countless players that Chelsea have brought in that the club was not their first love at all. I will go from people like Ruud Gullit to Zola to Vialli to Drogba to you name it. Just keep rolling the name. None of these people could tell you, before they played for Chelsea, that Chelsea was the club of their dreams. But when they came to Chelsea, they fell in love. There's something about the club when you're actually here that you have an understanding of where you are, what it means. That's that West swagger that we are all about. That blue pill, if it were, that strikes you, the blue injection that gets into your blood. And I have no doubt that the same will happen to Raphinha. I don't hold it against him for wanting to go to Barca right now. It is a club that he wants to go to, and let's see. If he goes, fine, bye, good luck. If he doesn't, welcome to Chelsea, and we'll see what he does. So peddling all this stuff that, I see that stuff on Twitter. He shouldn't kiss the badge. Fans should not, shouldn't like him. That he's, all this necessary things. No, give him a chance. We've got players who told us that we are their dream and came here and were twerking for other clubs, vis-a-vis Lukaku. So give the guy a chance. If he does come, welcome him and let's see what he can do.
And it's actually looking like, and that's just going back to the case of Eden Hazard. It actually looks like in a million years he's not going to be able to replicate what he did at Chelsea, at Real Madrid. Even he's won the Champions League with them, but that's a different. He didn't even come onto the pitch, and I bet you the smiles you saw on his face that day again was just pretense because of what happened when we beat them. You get all that. I don't think. I think again. He came to Chelsea again. The point I wanted to talk before I deviated into talking, he's never going to be able to replicate his form at Chelsea and Madrid. My point is he came to Chelsea. He didn't play like his mind wasn't at Chelsea. He played like Chelsea was his home. He played like Chelsea was his life. He played. He gave blood and sweat whenever he's on the pitch for Chelsea Football Club. And even to the very end, when he interviewed. His response was that, look, if I go to Madrid, the white will look good on me. And if I stay, the blue looks good on me too. It just, it depends. It all comes down to what both clubs work, if they're able to work out something. And I can assure you that had Chelsea refused to say he'd stay at Chelsea and be happy to extend his contract, if you ask me. That's how I see it. So again, I'm not going to be dwelling on the players saying they're first, priority will be to join a certain club and not Chelsea Football Club and all that. I'm not going to bother myself with that. Go ahead, Bobby. You were saying something.
No, and talking about Eden Hazard, I don't think there's a player in our history, apart from, many of you weren't even born when he played, people like Peter Osgood, that received as much punishment on the pitch as Eden Hazard. They would kick lumps out of this guy. And he kept coming back. You don't do that for a club you don't love.
So, that's the truth. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, go ahead. Declan, anything else you want to say? Anything else? Your final. So let me just go straight to your final thoughts on everything we've talked about today. I think it's been a brilliant show overall. Again, we touched quite a lot of stuff, but I don't think there's more to talk about. There's no question in the chat to address. So your thoughts on everything we've talked about today?
Thank God we got one signing. I think people can take a deep breath now, and maybe a little bit of calm. People were really, really were in a bad state. So I think I'm actually really intrigued to see how the rest of the transfer window progresses. Like I said, that meeting between Bowl and the Barca group, something big's going to happen from there. I'm really interested to see what happens. Which player we go for. I'm a massive fan of De Jong. I hope that is a real target. I hope that we can hijack that. I'd prefer him than the rest of the people we've been linked with. So I hope that happens there. And I'm actually intrigued to see. I'm intrigued the preseason coming up to see who comes. I think we can. I mean, we're always left in the dark, but I think we can put a few pieces in the puzzle with the preseason, and we see the targets we go for, and you could kind of see what we might be doing and how we're looking. But the season is going to start soon too. I'm almost going to count August as pre-season month almost. Players won't be fit. Players still be linked. Players might be coming in. Players might be going. I think it's going to be not that great of a month. So I still consider it almost like a pre-season month, to be honest. And maybe, and then we can officially say from September onwards, we know what we're doing. So, yeah, I'm actually really happy to see what's going to happen, and I'm not really stressed. I think Bobby brought up too. I'm actually really content with some of the players we already have. Conor Gallagher, Brozier, if they stay, they're great. We got some youngsters still that have some potential and could come good, and it's exciting to see. And it's exciting to see some new players as well. So I'm actually really excited what's going to happen.
Yep, I'm the same with you. And again, I cannot argue otherwise. I'm confident. And Bobby has also come to terms that I think we're going to have a good window. If you ask me, if I misquote you, let me know. But yeah,
I think we put ourselves in a win-win situation, really, in this Raphinha and Dembele situation. Because if you're looking at it, I think we pounced on the Raphinha because we knew the situation that Barcelona were in. So if you're telling me that we put the 65 million bid in because I think we knew that Raphinha wanted to go Barcelona as well. We're not stupid. So we put the 65 million bid in for a reason. That's what I think.
Yeah. Again, CJ here says, good afternoon, beautiful people. On a beautiful afternoon. Nice to see you, CJ. I hope you're doing well. You joined us late, or they say lateness is greatness. I hope you're well. Chill goes to Bayern. We'll see. Cooley wouldn't join Chelsea. We tried to sign him for ages and still never signed up for us. Common Chelsea fans, we're living the dream. If he comes, I will take him. If he doesn't, it's not going to be the end of the world. I would be, if it would be a choice, I would have Eden Hazard back. Again, I would have him back anytime, any day. I still argue that if he come back to Chelsea, he will rejuvenate that is his career, and he will see him replicate the form he had then, probably even better. But again, I understand that Hazard didn't consider us as first, but holding out for Barca for 2 weeks when Barca cannot even afford a jollof rice. Again, that's a very hilarious argument that Lukaku is the reason Chelsea fans feel this way. At some point, we got to move on. We have to. We can't dwell on the past for so long. Again, we're not helping ourselves. I've actually been in contact thank you for that. And here's the thing again, there's a saying, the reason, one of the main reasons why I'm advising us to move on from Lukaku is this. There's an African saying that if you hold somebody on the ground, when you let them go, you stand up when you let them go. So while you're still holding them on the ground, you're still on the ground with them. By the time you only stand up when you let them go. I don't know if that makes sense, but thank you very much again. I want to say thank you for 120 likes. We still have 111 people watching. So if you haven't, please take a second to like the video. Thank you for 120 likes. That's not easy at all. And here, Chune Jum Abiogan says the 48 hours for Raphinha. And I think I've read that before. Hit the like button, guys, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Again, listen to the Queen of Chelsea perspective and do what she's told you. The story from ESPN. Yep, I'm looking for the direct link or direct tweet if you can find that and share with us, Daniel Curran. I'd really appreciate that. But thank you very much to Thomas Tuchel. Says Lukaku. Again, I've read that. Says Tuchel dreamed of what? I understand. Again, I've read all this since I think because I went up further up. That was why I repeated. I went through them again. Did I miss anything else here? And this is Almighty Blues FC joining us late. Big up, bro. All in here. Big up to you too, bro. I hope you're doing well. I sincerely do mean that. And again, if you haven't, take a second to go check out Almighty Blues FC and subscribe to his channel and make sure to let him know I sent you. And please do the same for Titox here, who's been on the panel, but it looks like he's not there at this point. Maybe he's busy doing something else. please make sure to go check out his YouTube channel.
I'm here listening.
You can't come in whenever you want to, Ty. But go ahead. Be sure to go check out Ty Talk CFC YouTube channel, and please do let him know I sent you. Ty, give us your final thoughts on everything we've talked about.
Yeah, it looks like it came back at the right time. Anyways, the everything. I mean, the whole Dembele Raphinha situation is so confusing. It's all over the place. Sometimes you're hearing that it's going to happen. Sometimes it's not going to happen. So I just think that we just brace ourselves for any possibility, and just try to remain calm. It's one signing we have made so far, and one signing doesn't really make a difference. So I can agree with that, and I can understand if people are not excited about it. The thing is with everything else, Koulibaly centre backs need to be resolved. It's something that we need to pay attention to, because it's important. Replacing certain profiles in the team and personnel is very important. Adding to squad depth is also important. So even though people want certain players to leave, we need to develop depth, and we can't get rid of everybody in one window. So we have to accept that sometimes we're going to have some quote unquote deadwoods, because we unfortunately don't know how to negotiate and accept a little loss here or a little loss there. So in terms of that, and you never know, those players could end up benefiting the team on a rare occasion. But I do feel that we could start the rebuild process this summer. If it will be the same management, I don't know, but we will see what happens. It was a good show. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to say much, but I think I said enough.
I know you didn't say much. I think I'll get my calculator and check it. Ty, I'm just kidding. You're fine, bro. And hopefully you get to be able to stream soon, so that we can direct traffic directly from here to your stream. So we have a lot of people watching, because you deserve much more subscribers than you have at this point. And I'm not able to share the link, because every time I try that, it freezes my screen. Every time I try to open YouTube to get you the link. But next time, just send it to me via the private chat. That way I can easily get people to go to your channel immediately. But that's by the way. Now, I don't know, Declan, if I've gotten your final thoughts, your thoughts on everything we've talked about today.
You did, but I can keep going if you want. I can do another final thought.
Just go away. Again, coming to you, Bobby, your final thoughts on everything we've talked about today.
Yeah, it's been interesting. We've covered basically a lot of what we can cover based on what we know at the moment. I'm with Declared and indeed everybody else. I think it's a welcome relief to Chelsea fans that at least we've made one signing, or we're about to anyway, because he's having his medical. But the truth of the matter is that it's not over. Our defensive situation needs reviewing, and signings need to come in, and probably in the midfield areas. Do we currently have players that we can utilize? Yes, we do. But all this is about strength in depth and about taking us to the next level, which we have to do both for the club project, for the purpose of the investors and their plans for a better financial future, and to give us sustainability for us to go into the next phase of our project, which has to be the stadium redevelopment plan. So, and that will take away a lot of our attention on transfers. So we really need to get all our transfers in place and correct now, so that we're under less pressure during that period, which is the next phase. And which is why I keep saying we're looking at someone like De Ligt, who is a long-term plan, probably, as opposed to Koulibaly, who is a shorter term plan, and we would need to replace fairly soon, and maybe in the middle of the project, which is a distraction we may well do without. So it's a lot of forward planning and strategy involved with our transfer this summer. That's why I still believe we are targeting getting in about 6 players.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bobby. Thank you for that input. I appreciate you being part of the panel. As always, I can't thank you enough. Please see the Twitter handle of all those people in the panel. I will try not to forget. I do all of those things, quite a lot myself, from the design of the thumbnail, from switching the jersey of the players, all alone. So it's easy to forget something. But Ty, if you can always remind me that I haven't added the credits to the description section as my brother, I'd appreciate that. You can follow Ty Tags. You can also go check out his YouTube channel and subscribe. Follow Bobby, also follow The Club. Please be sure to follow them. They don't get paid. They do this because of their love for the club. Again, I can't thank you guys enough. And to those in the chat, I want to say thank you to MC Raza 3RD. At least it's not easy. I appreciate all your support. You've been there from the start of the show to this point. And also to Misha, who just joined us. Thank you very much. I appreciate your support. And to Almighty Blues, my brother, my Indian cousin, my brother from another mother, thank you for finding time to join. Just Viola, the queen of the house, thank you. Always nice to have you around. And to every other person, True Blue, for the great input. CJ, Phantom of Many Topics, my brother, thank you. I appreciate you all. And if I forget to mention your name, my sincere apologies. I'm only human. And with that, we've come to the end of the show. I look forward to seeing everyone during the evening show and also the Blue Morning show tomorrow. Please keep an eye for the automated show. If you want us to, that is all those Twitter accounts that you follow, streamlined. You don't need to scroll to them one by one. The automated stream helps you do that. Thank you. God bless us all, and cheers.